I think is my biggest competition? Probably either KitKat or Exodasher.
Who do you prefer? Jazzmix or KitKat?
I prefer Jazzmix 100%. No offense, Jazz.
My name is Christoph. I live in the east of England in the United Kingdom, and I play Skyward Sword competitively, I guess, if you could say that. I'm ranked 3rd place, at the time of recording this at least, I'm ranked 3rd in the world in the 80% category, and I have multiple world records, most being no back in time category, and as I'm recording this, the Yerbal category. You know, Zelda's always something that I've kind of enjoyed. My parents kind of introduced me to Twilight Princess at the age of like 4 or 5, and I really liked the game, and I also played Skyward Sword. And so then at the age of 12, I had this amazing idea of, you know, starting a YouTube channel. And I started that in 2016 at the right old age of 11.
Hello gamers and everybody else, this is KitKat here bringing you another video where today we are playing The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword.
I think it was in 2017, April 2017 to be specific. I saw the SGDQ 2014 run that TLO ZSR and Testrunner did, and I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. So I boosted up my Wii, I got the game, and I basically started speedrunning it. At the first, I didn't exactly know what I was doing, but then slowly but surely over the course of the 3 years, I rose up the ranks, as you can say. I went from like a low tier runner, like medium tier, had a decent time. I just kept whittling down my time, kept getting faster, kept getting more control over Link, and before I knew it, I was considered to be a top runner, which was insane actually.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword 80% speedrunner English in 7 hours, 7 minutes, and 25 seconds. You can do this. Sub 6, come on, here we go. Sub 6, please. Yes! Yes!
That was fucking close. Whew, that was nice. I've always kind of liked the competitive side of things. There's a lot of people who like kind of like the fun, like the glitches and like all the like the cool spectacle stuff. And I've kind of been feeling like with the, especially the vanilla, like, you know, there aren't really like that many runners in the vanilla competitive scene, and the ones that are like hugely have different skill, like the skill range is enormous, right? I think the great thing about the randomizer coming out is that kind of puts most people on kind of the same playing field, because it's not just about can you be fast enough, it's about can your routing be amazing, and it's about all these other things. So no one person can be perfect at rando the same way you can be perfect at the vanilla game, which is kind of why I'm very excited about the tournament coming up that starts in January, February. Going to be absolutely insane for everyone, because it's going to be like Skyward Sword for the first time as a competitive game, you know. I'd say I'm definitely a contender for winning the tournament, although I think anything can happen. There are many people in the tournament who I can see winning. My goal for this tournament is to come first. I'll be happy if I make it into like the single elimination battle, like pretty far into it. But winning is like, I've got like my eyes on the prize for that, basically. I'm excited to see basically the tournament. I'm excited to see how it unfolds. I'm excited to see what everyone can do, and hopefully if the stars align for every match, I can get a win. Now some might say like it's kind of really obvious that I'll win, you know, I've won basically every single casual race up until now, but that was only really because I just got really lucky. I'm not saying that like everything in rando is luck, but there was a little bit of luck to it, I guess. Like, you know, like just remove the luck, and I can definitely see a lot of the runners being on like an even playing field. Like it's not just I'm just going to blister through this tournament. I do think that there are going to be some close matches. I'm excited to see what's going to happen throughout the next coming months with this tournament. It's exciting times for just about everyone in the randomizer. This is the Skyward Sword randomizer community. My first seeding race is probably going to take place on the 6th of February at 5 UTC, so I'm like grinding like crazy for that, and I'm really excited to see what happens with that. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword is the 16th entry into the Legend of Zelda series, releasing on the Nintendo Wii in 2011. Many critics loved the game, and many held it as the best Zelda game ever made, but for the average players, it wasn't so clear. Many people didn't click with the motion controls, found that the game's linear nature destroyed exploring, and for a whole other list of reasons, Skyward Sword is now held on the controversial side of Zelda games, and thus isn't as populated as the other titles. But a select few players, who stuck out all these years, have wanted to see it pushed to its limits. For many years of the game's speedrunning history, not much was discovered, and from 2012 to 2018, the game's record would only drop by about half an hour, with some early runners such as TLOZSR, Test Runner, Tenderhearted, and Indie Kenobi being the pioneers. Throughout this time, the game felt almost unbreakable, a speedrunning obstacle that only just couldn't be overcome. But in 2019, all that would change, and the game itself would never be the same. Gymnast86, who is a veteran runner and a glitch hunter of the game, was looking into the back in time glitch, the biggest glitch in Skyward Sword, which allows you to play on the title screen, and discovered the technique of reverse bit magic, which allows runners to set scene flags from the title screen onto their files. And just like that, the game broke out of its linear chains, and sequence breaking became a vital part in Skyward Sword's speedrunning. The times on the game went from 4 hours 50 minutes to 2 hours 20 minutes overnight, and through some realizations and more discoveries, now sits at 1 hours 21 minutes. As the game's speedrun went from a mostly glitches to a now heavily glitched speedrun, it gathered more popularity, and the community was able to understand the game more, so around this time, the production of a randomizer would begin. For the early years of the game, a Skyward Sword randomizer always seemed like a joke, as the linear nature would make it nearly impossible to make an interesting randomizer. But with a greater understanding of the game and its code, the developers were able to remove these linear roadblocks and create a truly open randomizer for this game. Throughout 2020, Lepalog and Copernicus would release snapshots of their progress, and on the 26th of October 2020, the 1.0 version of the randomizer officially became live, and as tournaments were the logical next step, many of the top players who had been running the game for years started grinding the randomizer in hopes of being the winner of the first ever Skyward Sword randomizer tournament. Exodasher from Canada is a top runner of the vanilla game who had been running the game since 2017 and was one of the fastest, being arguably the best at the 100% category, holding the record for the longest time post the discovery of reverse bit magic and getting the first sub 7 hour run of the category. Whilst his routing ability and randomizer experience put him behind other competitors, his execution and speed more than enough made up for it, making him a top contender to win it all. Jasnix from the United States is a skilled runner of Skyward Sword, and also has experience in other Zelda games such as Spirit Tracks, where he is the current 80% mod record holder. Although being one of the later runners to emerge, starting in 2020, he quickly rose to the top, and whilst he isn't the best at execution, Jasnix had a somewhat unpredictable nature to his routing, which made it very hard to counter in a tournament setting, so there was no telling how far he would go. Muzu Gallium is a British runner who started out in the occasional Skyward Sword bingo races in 2020, and in a brief period of time, quickly rose up the ranks and becoming more skilled. Muzu is also known for having a consistent strategy in terms of her routing, and this consistency would help her early on, as she finished second place in the showcase race earlier this year, beating many well-known veterans. If she was able to beat many seasoned veterans in a highly publicized race, there was no telling how far she would do in a tournament format. 64-Bit Link from the United States is also a runner who joined the community fairly later on, and had a lot of experience in randomizers, frequently joining tournaments in SMZ3, a randomizer which combines Super Metroid and A Link to the Past, the two most popular randomizers. Despite his challenges in maintaining good execution, his previous experience in randomizers put his routing ability ahead of most of the competition, being able to rival many other skilled veterans, which put him as a contender to win the tournament. Lepalog from Germany is another veteran runner, who is also one of the main developers of the randomizer, so along with his experience in a vanilla game and coming second place in the first 80% tournament in 2020, he knew the randomizer inside and out, giving him a knowledge edge in routing. Out of all the players, it was looking like Lepalog would be the strongest. So at this point, the field is pretty stacked, but going into it, I was the expected victor. Sure, I couldn't route as well as some of my opponents, but with it being decent and my speed making me the fastest in competition, it was likely that I would come up on top. But shortly after the tournament began, another player joined in, and the best way of describing this individual would be calling him a final boss of sorts. Gymnast86 is widely regarded as the best Skyward Sword player of all time, not only making the biggest glitch discovery in the game's history, but also proving himself as a top runner, with holding numerous records in 80%, all dungeons, no back in time, and 100% categories. Not only was he fast, but he had great experience in randomizers, thanks to his skill in the Wind Waker, which has had a randomizer for a few years at this point, and placing very high in major tournaments. He had exceptional routing ability, and understood the logic of a seed flawlessly, so out of all the players, Gymnast86 was looking like the player to beat. So just before we get into the seeding races and stuff, I do want to quickly outline what a randomizer is for anyone watching this who might not be familiar. So, at its core, a randomizer is a mod of the game which randomizes the locations of all the items such as swords, instruments, songs, progression items, and more. For example, in Skyward Sword, the whip is usually located in the whip chest in the ancient system, but in the randomizer, the whip can be anywhere, including the location of a reward item from an NPC. This logic goes for all the items in the game. Shop items, keys, and even dungeon entrances can be randomized, but in the settings used for the tournaments, these items or entrances are in their standard locations, except keys which are randomized within their dungeons, but not in the overworld. There are other changes in a randomizer, like removing tutorials, removing story roadblocks, and convenient tweaks such as instant text and faster bird speed. The goal of a standard randomizer race is to beat the game as fast as possible. In Skyward Sword, the definition of beating the game is defeating Demise in the past, which requires the following items: 3 sword upgrades, the Goddess Harp, and beating 2 randomly selected required dungeons along with collecting their required items. The interesting thing about standard randomizer races is that at the start, all runners have no idea on the locations of any items and have to find them as they go, which means not only do players have to focus on their execution, but also routing throughout the game to give yourself the best chance in finding the items you want. There's also what's known as logic, which is basically instructions for the randomization to not put items in locations that are locked behind that item. For example, the Sansi region in the Lanayru Desert is locked by claw shots, so the logic tells the randomization not to put claw shots in any of the checks in the Sansi. This tournament structure has 3 stages: the seeding stage, the group stage, and finally the bracket stage. The seeding stage is split between 7 free-for-all matches over the course of January and February. The better time you get compared to your opponents, the better score you get. At the end of the 6 matches, all players are given their seed number and are put into 4 quartiles. For example, seeds 1 through 5 in the first quartile and seeds 6 through 10 in the second quartile. Then to make a group, a player is selected from each quartile at random and then begins the group stage. The group stage is a double elimination bracket per group, and the 2 runners left from each group advance to the bracket stage, and the bracket stage is a single elimination bracket with all matches being best of 1, with the exception of the finals being a best of 3. The winner of the finals of the bracket stage wins the tournament. So with that all out of the way, now move over to the first of 6 seeding races, which is a race which I wasn't in, but is without a doubt worth covering.
Welcome to the Skyward Sword Randomizer tournament.
The first seeding race took place on the 29th of January 2021 and featured some of the best players the tournament had to offer, such as CJ, one of the developers of the randomizer, Exodasher, Jazzix08, and Gymnast86. Off restream runners featured Calm Down Sam, Battlecats59, and Harmyon387.
We're gonna be starting soon in here, within 5 seconds.
The seed started out in a pretty interesting way, with all the runners finding claw shots very early on. The claw shots are the most valuable item in the randomizer, as they open up a lot of overall checks and make certain segments faster. Fairly early on, Gymnast decides to go to Lanayru, whilst everyone else stays on Skyloft.
So basically we have 3 of our runners currently still making their way through Skyloft. A Jim getting the beetle.
There's the beetle. I love these early divergences because then you can see which one ends up paying off better.
That's gonna be interesting.
Although these divergences were pretty early on, these decisions would end up shaping how the seed would look for these runners. Whilst Gymnast continues to look for stuff in Lanayru, CJ, Jazzix, and Exto all find the Emerald Tablet from Betro and end up heading to Farron. Whilst they are there, the 3 Farron runners end up entering the Skyview Temple, one of their required dungeons, and Exto ends up being the first player to complete Skyview, and ends up finding an item that will unlock a lot of the world for him. After being done with Skyview, Exo decides to head to Lanayru and then to Eldon. Gymnast ends up completing Skyview around this time and ends up in Eldon following in Exto's footsteps. Whilst in Eldon, Gymnast ends up collecting the crystal ball on top of the mountain and ends up getting rewarded by finding the whip, an item which might be required for Sandship.
Oh, it's a whip!
That's gonna be helpful.
That doesn't unlock too many checks though, does it?
You need the bow in Sandship for the whip.
True, it does unlock Skipper's Retreat, doesn't it? So there could be something on Retreat, there could be something in one of these side quests here in Skyloft.
Meanwhile, Exo doesn't get the crystal ball for Sparrow, and in turn doesn't get the whip, which means he might not be able to complete Sandship for quite some time. However, Exo might have an advantage over Jim in the fact that he picked up the Hook Beetle, which unlocks quite a few checks in Lanayru. If an item is locked behind those checks, then Exo could get an advantage in that way. Exo ends up finding the bow in Lanayru behind one of the Hook Beetle locked checks, which then puts Exo and Jim on an even playing field, which means this race could be determined by whoever finds the other player's item first. Meanwhile, CJ and Jazzix are both done with Elden, and Jazzix going straight to Sandship, and CJ staying on Skyloft for a bit. Meanwhile, Gymnast finds the Hook Beetle, and then finds the bow, and decides to head straight to Sandship. However, Exo ends up entering Sandship just a few moments ago, but luckily for Gymnast, Sandship is whip required, which puts him right back into the lead.
Exto unfortunately locked out of the Sandship completion, so he's gonna have to leave. Jim is now firmly in the lead unless Exto literally drops everything and goes straight to where the whip is. Although we know that it is on iDude, Exto is off on a extravaganza trying to find it in the Pirate's Fortress, and CJ, I think, is making his way towards the Sandship. Hopefully he doesn't make the same mistake as Exto and try completing it without the whip.
Meanwhile, CJ was put in a similar situation to Exto, finding the Hook Beetle and bow, but not finding the whip. But unlike Exto, CJ banks on the whip being required, and takes time to search for it, which ends up paying off, as he does find it shortly after. Over on Jazzix's end, because he found the whip on his last Skyloft trip, he's able to enter Sandship around the same time as Jim, which puts all 4 runners in the same place looking for the same items, so this is suddenly anyone's game. All the runners finish Sandship one after the other, but with Gymnast in the lead.
Well, Jim is finishing Tantalus. Now, what could certainly be is that we have both the final sword upgrade and the harp right here at the end of Sandship.
Or neither. Oh, it's Battle of the Goddess!
Battle of the Goddess! That means Thunderhead is open now. And the sword upgrade! Only harp is left. That is actually really interesting.
Despite all the runners exiting Sandship around the same time, some of them had more items than others, including the Fire Shield earrings, which was required since Harp was in the Volcano Summit. Gymnast, Jazzix and CJ all had this item at this point, but Exto did not. Gymnast finds the harp and is in go mode, but with no sight of letting up victory, and Jazzix follows right behind. CJ ends up staying in the Thunderhead, choosing to check the long Levias check, which doesn't pay off as it's only gratitude crystals. Exto, without access to the Volcano Summit, ends up checking the Levias check, similar to CJ, and this ends up to his detriment. The final standings of this race were Gymnast in first, Jaznix in second, Exodasher in third, CJ in fourth, Calm Down Sam 5th, Battlecats in 6th, and Harmjan forfeiting. Exto, one of the major contenders to win the tournament due to his time, ends up falling down to the second quartile, but he would have to make do with it as he wasn't able to participate in any other seeding race. Okay, so it's the first day after the seeding race. I didn't catch it live, but I did watch the VOD, and it looked like kind of interesting seed with Harp being at Volcano Summit. So currently, as it is, Gymnast has 103 points, Jaznix has 96, Exto has 84, CJ has 75, Sam has 67, Battlecats has 56, and Harm has 47. So there are 7 runners in there. So obviously this doesn't get the whole big story out of like how many, like there's 24 runners in total and only like 7 that were actually in there. Just right out of the get-go, I think Gymnast is going to be probably my biggest issue, or my biggest rival, I think. A matchup between me and Gymnast would be absolutely fucking sick, like genuinely. If that happens, if it happened in the finals, even better. But if it just happened at all, I'd be like over the moon about it, to be honest. Now, of course, I'm like also kind of nervous about people like Exto and Jaznix and I guess CJ as well. Just like people who are either fast or understand the game a lot more than me, or both. Because I don't really have, I have a sort of like algorithm that I stick to when I make decisions, but I don't think they're perfect because I'm not, you know, good at game. I just play it fast. I don't run hundo, so yeah. So I didn't mention that I wasn't in the first seeding race because I wasn't. The seeding race that I'm in the 3rd, 4th, and 6th one. My goal for the seeding race is definitely to be at least top quadrant. Optimally, I'd be in the top 4, so that if I progress to the single elimination stage, first in my group, I'd get a bye in the first stage, so I wouldn't have to face an opponent in round 1. I'd just go straight to the second round. of the single elimination bracket. So again, the dream is to be top 4, but honestly, if I'm just in the first quadrant, I'll be happy. I believe first quadrant would be in the top 6, I think. Or yeah, top 6 is first quadrant. So yeah.
Alright, hello everyone! Today we have the Skyward Sword Randomizer 2021 Winter Tournament, seeding race number 2. Today we have on restream 64-bit Link, Floha, Leplog, and Theo. Should be a good race, and I'll leave you two to it.
The 2 required dungeons for the seed are Linear Mining Facility and the Fire Sanctuary. We are currently searching for their second tablet, so the Ender tablet is on the Allen crystals. The Lepa doesn't like to go into Linear Mining Facility. I am personally not a fan of this call, unless, you know, the off chance that the Gust Bellows happen to be in LMF, in which case this is an extremely lucky call. Well, I guess that also works. That would be one heck of a seed, a required double dip into LMF.
Pretty much all we're waiting on right now is Gust Bellows and a couple of the last sword upgrades.
So Flaw is going to be the first to enter the trial here. We do know that there is a progression item in the trial. If is indeed Gust Bellows, I'd say that Floha is pretty solidly in the lead. Oh, there it is from Leva. Oh no! Oh, that's a feels bad, man. And Leva gets the Master Sword. Leva is in go mode now.
Lepe going into Demise. Lepe with a second at 2:58.24.
64 is entering the imprisoned arena. Theo is making his way through LMF, and Floa is cleaning up.
Also GG 64. Also GG.
GG to Theo.
GG.
GG's.
During the second seeding race, Lepelog made some pretty interesting gambles, but they all paid off since he was the first to get the Ruby Tablet and the Gust Bellows. But whilst Lepelog was the fastest out of the restream runners, behind the scenes, Jimmist was getting these items quicker and ended up finishing in first place. The final standings for this race was Jimmist in first, Lepelog in second, Araxis in third, Muzu in fourth, 64-bit Link in fifth, Theo in sixth, Floa in seventh, and Matstrat and Rikio Kikiri both forfeiting. The third seeding race took place on the 6th of February 2021, and it was my first seeding race, so I was definitely feeling the nerves. We are T-minus 40 minutes from the start of the race. Whew, I'm excited. And shitting myself, but that's part of the fun. The seed also had some heavyweights such as Muzu, another tournament admin, Matstrats, a relative newcomer with experience in other Zelda games, and Pepernicus, another one of the main developers of the Randomizer. Off restream were also some amazing runners such as Lepelog, 64-bit Link, CJ, Battlecats, and Ibu. Even with all these great players, going into it, I was the expected victor, but as we were all waiting in the race room, a challenger approaches, for his third and final time. Okay, so guess what, right? Gymnast fucking 86, right? This is joined. But wait, Gymnast 86, fucking hell, he literally said, right, oh, I'm not gonna do any more, like, races. He's in this fucking race! Well, if I'm gonna get a good score here, but best fucking work for it. Gymnast's entrance caught me off guard a bit, evidented by the fact that I sound like a complete arsehole in that clip, but I was going to try my best whilst I was going against one of the greatest of all time. Very early on, I decided to stay on Skyloft for a bit, and I ended up getting some useful items such as the whip, the sea chart, and the sword. I also ended up with a lot of Elden based items such as the bomb bag and the fire shot earrings, but not the ruby tablet, as I started off with the emerald. With nowhere else to go, I decided to head to Farron. Alright, so I'm definitely probably going to go to Farron because that's my only option right now. But I can guarantee you Jim is in Farron now because that's his playstyle. His playstyle is definitely like go to surface areas early, I think. Anyway, Farron. Immediately upon entering Farron, I found the ruby tablet and decided to stay as there was still a lot of checks I wanted to clean up. Whilst I was there, I also find digging mitts, another big Elden item, so staying in Farron was definitely the correct play. After cleaning up Farron, I decided to go back to Skyloft to advance some checks and clean up others. I ended up collecting 5 loose crystals, and as I was just shy of 30, I decided to go for some loose ones, which in hindsight was a bit risky because this took some time, but not a lot. I ended up finding the bow, which was a required item, but didn't unlock anything. I then decided to head to Eldin, as I had a lot of checks and it could open up a lot. And of course, the thing that I find most in Eldin was gratitude crystals. Literally the first check in Eldin is gratitude crystals. What? Why does this game hate me so much? I swear this is just full of gratitude crystals, like Eldin, like bruh. Despite Eldin having a lot of checks at my disposal, I only really found the Gust Bellows, which was a required item, but then again, didn't open up much. I then went back to Skyloft again to make use of all the crystals I picked up in Eldin, and also I was there just to clean up some more checks. Looking back on these races, it's definitely apparent how much my playstyle changes from the tournament, but in these early stages, I really just wanted to clean up as many checks as I could. I ended up finding the Harp, which only really unlocked some silent realms, and as I was there and running out of checks, I decided to bite the bullet and go with the Skyloft silent realm. I'm hoping for something good. Like, I always wanted something like good first, because one, if I'd waste my time. And two, because I know a lot of people tend to put off trials, and that's the great thing about it, but we'll see. The Silent Realm housed the Bogwar Mitts, which didn't really change much since I already had the Digging Mitts. After this, I ended up fully clearing the Thunderhead, where I found the Horned Colossus Beetle, which led to the Water Dragon Scale. This opened up a few more checks in Farron. Okay, so I'm heading off to Farron now. We're going through the checks really quickly, but there's like nothing. Like anywhere. I need swords, I need Amber Tablet, and I need claw shots, that's it. So I decided to go there, and ended up finding the claw shots. I decided to stay and search in Farron, as I still needed the Amber Tablet, and there were a lot of checks there. All I need is a sword and Amber Tablet and I'm in go mode. That's all I need now. Anyway, I'm doing the Farron Trail, and we'll see what that produces. As I was there, I decided to do the Farron Silent Realm, as it was hinted to being something useful. And I did find something.
Is it the Amber Tablet? No, it's another sword! Oh my god, what is this? I cannot believe it.
Okay, we just need Amber Tablet, then we were in go mode. That was a sword. Yes. It's been a very streamlined seed, so I think anything can happen. I bet you this is close. Like, Gymnast, he's probably right on my fucking tail, if not ahead of me. I honestly have no idea. Even though I have basically every item in the fucking game right now, I'm not gonna let that overjoy me too much. But other than a sword, Farron was basically a waste of time, so I went to go back to Skyloft, and there to finish the Owlin quest. And you know that this tablet was well hidden, as Flower in the commentary was losing his mind.
Alright, Peppa, do you have the Amber Tablet? No! Gratitude crystals! Okay, still no Amber Tablet. This is crazy. If the seed continues like that, Amber Tablet will be the go mode item.
With every check done in Skyloft, I still had no Amber Tablet, so I went to Eldin, and I had two options, either go to Summit or finish the trial. The trial was hinted, and was closer to a bird statue, but it was very long and the Summit had twice as many checks, so I went to Summit first, and got rewarded.
It's the Amber Tablet!
Oh my fucking god. The Nehru Tablet was in the Volcano Summit, oh my god. Fuck yes. Okay, so now we're in go mode. I have no idea where anyone else is right now, because again, this is very streamlined, but fucking hell. With the Amber Tablet found, I was now in go mode, which was nice considering that I didn't have to check any of Lanayru. I first went to Sandship, which had a very convenient boss key location. However, I didn't set up Tentacle Skip, so I was going to lose about 90 seconds having to fight him, which wasn't horrible, but time lost nonetheless, and I had no idea where anyone else was, knowing that Jim could have been right on my tail at least, every second counted. Then I went to the Lanayru mining facility, and I found the small key early, so I decided to do the right wing first, but still had no boss key. And as I was continuing through, I looked at my race time and saw that Gymnast had finished in first place. Race room. Oh, Jim finished, god damn it. Knew it'd be hot on my tail, but damn, he's finished. After looking at LMF for a while, I finally found the boss key. And after that, it was a straight run to the finish. I didn't have any problems with Mordovac, Imprisoned, or the endgame, and ended up finishing second with a time of 2 hours, 34 minutes, and 26 seconds.
5 something there. Alright, GG's to KitKat, finishing with a time of 2:34.26.
Very nice.
One thing that I didn't realize until after the race was that on the restream, Muzu was actually the first runner to get the Amber Tablet, but I was able to pull ahead just after Sandship and secure the second place. Around the time that I finished, Mastrat and Copernicus were finishing up their second dungeon and in go mode. Those two runners would end up finishing with a 3:10.59 and a 3:01.22 respectively. The final standings of the race was Gymnast in first, me in second, Muzu in third, Lepalog in fourth, 64-bit Link in fifth, Copernicus in sixth, Falcat in seventh, CJ in 8th, Matstrats in 9th, and 10th place was Ibu.
I was good. I didn't make any major mistakes, but I made so many minor ones, which I think is how Jim has got a 20-minute better time over me. Oh well, hope I'll do better tomorrow. I know Jim just won't be in this because he just did his 3rd one this time, so we'll see.
Okay, so it is, what the fuck's today? It's 7th of February, and it's basically the 2nd seeding race right now, and I'm excited for it. I definitely feel a bit better. I'm hoping that I definitely learned something from my last seeding race, and hopefully I can do not bad.
Hello everybody and welcome to Zelda Speedruns, broadcasting the Skyward Sword Randomizer 2021 Winter Tournament. This is the seeding race number 4.
The 4th seeding race took place on the 7th of February 2021. It was my favourite in terms of the start times, as it started noon British time. Because it was very early for North Americans, the runners of this race were exclusively from the EU community, where on the restream we had runners such as Alexis and Deer, both relative newcomers, and Flower. Off restream runners included Lepalog, Muzu, and Copernicus.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, 0. Let's go.
The dungeons were pretty similar to the last run, with Sandship being one of the required dungeons for the 3rd time out of 4. Despite the dungeons, I ended up finding other items that weren't required for the dungeon, such as the scale and the fire shield earrings. 16 minutes in, after staying on Skyloft for a bit, I decided to go to Farron, as that was the only place I could have gone.
Major thing to Farron. You find interesting start, got harp, got scale, got earrings. In a lot of ways it's actually quite similar to the first leading race. And yeah, again, it's Farron Pillar, and we're still going to Farron Pillar, so it's only like 16 minutes in, so anything can happen. And I should be able to complete Skyview early, assuming Beetle's required or commits, but hopefully.
Whilst I was on Skyloft, I also found the Goddess Hub, which allowed me to do the Ballad of the Goddess check right away, which ended up having the bow. As I could potentially clear it, I decided to go to my first required dungeon, the Skyview Temple, and whilst I was there, I noticed that the boss key was logically locked by the beetle.
Is he not gonna get the boss key?
I wonder if KitKat just forgot he didn't pick up the boss key, in which case he'll be disappointed when he goes to try to open the boss door.
Looking back, I could have used the slingshot to get it, but it requires a semi-precise position and a semi-precise aim, which at the time I didn't know how to do, so I ended up leaving in search for the beetle or the whip.
Okay, I guess...
Oh, he doesn't know the shot!
KitKat must not know it.
The boss key was unfortunately locked behind the bar, so it's either whip or beetle, then I'll return. I did find Ruby Tablet there, so I found it out of logic, so after doing like back in time, so that's gonna be quite interesting, because I don't know how many other people could do back in time, but we'll see, I guess.
Whilst I was in the sky, I ended up finding the beetle pretty early on. The rest of the sky was mostly barren, but I did find a sword in the pipit crystals and digging mitts, so I could fully clear Skyview. After completing Skyview, I decided to go straight to Eldon, as it now was in logic and had a ton of checks basically waiting for me. Unfortunately for the restream, whilst I was in the Mogma turf, my internet went out.
KitKat, no.
But I was locally recording. On restream, they ended up swapping me out for Lepalog, so for the next few hours, I would be off restream. Whilst I was in Eldon, I did end up finding another sword, and gust bellows, which wasn't hard required for the seed, but could have been a useful item. I also did the Eldon Silent Realm, as it was hinted to be something good, but ended up just being Gradu Crystals, which didn't really help.
The Eldon Trial, that was Gradu Crystals, which usually I'd be like, oh fuck about, but that brings up to 50 so I can do all the rewards, so it's not all bad, depends on what those rewards are.
Afterwards, I went back to the sky again, and whilst I found the Amber Tablet, I ended up staying there for quite a while as I found some fetch quest items, as well as Ballad of the Goddess on Petrus, which meant that I could also fully clear the Thunderhead. Then, I was in Lanayru in search for the claw shots, and also potentially the whip, as it could have been required for Sandship. I didn't end up finding much in Lanayru, other than a sword and a bottle, so I went to Farron again just to clean up the area, and in the Great Tree Chest, I ended up finding the claw shots.
I'm gonna go straight from there, because say if the boss key's in it, because all I need now is whip, potentially. And if the boss key's in a really good place, I don't even need it. I'm hoping boss key's in a good place, or whip is in a good place.
After this, I immediately went back to Lanayru, hoping that neither Alan's Crystals nor Gorko's Goddess Wool would be required checks. Whilst I was in Sandship, I looked in the 3 checks which didn't require the whip, and in those I found a small key, which opened up 2 checks, but with both under 1 lock. I could only access one, so I went for the Skirvo check.
If this isn't boss key, I'm gonna have to look for the whip, because then whip would be required. This ending has been so bad. Like, all my gambles have not paid off whatsoever. So I'm really hoping this pays off, because that's what I need right now. Like, I need something to pay off. At least something, please. why. I must be easy here. Why?
With the boss key being potentially whip-locked, I end up searching most of Lanayru, and by this point, some people such as Lepalog and Aractus were finishing. I knew something went horribly wrong. The restream picked up after Lepa finished, and they were kind of confused on what I was looking for.
And looks like we are swapping Kit Cop back in.
Where is KitKat? He is doing nodes. Interesting. I wonder what KitKat is looking for.
With having lost all sense of direction, I just went for checked entity and hoped.
And GG's to Muzu.
Nothing was in the element, so I'm just gonna go down. But every decision I made like in like the second half was just wrong, and it's I paid the price for it.
After spending a little under 35 minutes looking for one item, I finally had 2 checks remaining, Gorko's Goddess Wall and Owlin's Crystals. The same 2 checks that I could have checked ages ago. Gorko's Goddess Wall had the bomb bag, which put Owlin in logic, in which he had the whip that I was looking for.
Kit Cop finally getting his whip, and I wonder how he's going to feel about that when he finds out that whip was not needed. When he finds where the boss key is, he's probably going to be not too happy.
From last locationing this item, you could say I was more than frustrated, especially because it wasn't even required. You see, there were 2 checks locked by the small key. I chose the bow check, but the boss key, of course, was in the vanilla boss key check, so I had effectively lost a lot of time because I chose wrong in a 50-50.
I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say. Ooh, this is painful!
As the damage had already been done, I attempted to play as clean as possible to reduce the deficit as much as I could. But unfortunately, speed can't fix every problem.
Like, it didn't matter how far in front I was at, like, originally. It was that one decision in Sandship, which is why I did so poorly, and why my seeding scores have been really suffer now. But I can't wait to go to comms and just slam CJ for this seed, like, seriously.
I ended up finishing with a final time of 3 hours, 17 minutes, and 17 seconds, which was almost 1 hour behind the first place finisher. Going into the interview, I was expecting to completely slam CJ for rolling a seed with a 50-50, which at the time I presumed that Lepalog and Araxis chose right. I mean, how else could they have been that much faster than me? But as the interview went on, I realized that there was something that I haven't even crossed my mind going into the seed.
Getting baited into desert is really unfortunate.
Yeah. It was very sad.
Yeah, that is why you save scum the keys if you get only one.
Save scumming is a technique used in most randomizers where once obtaining an item that you can only use once, you can save your progress and then use that item, and if whatever you found wasn't useful, you can just reset the console to immediately have the item back, as if you didn't use it, so you could use it for other purposes. For example, if I had saved before the Skyward fight, I could have reset after seeing the junk in the chest, still would have had the small key, and then gone to the boss key chest, and after finding the boss key itself, skipping the whole journey of getting the whip. After hearing this, I quickly became more annoyed than ever, as this wasn't because I just got really unlucky with a 50-50. This was my fault. The final standings of this race was Lepalog in first, Araxis in second, Muzu in first, me in fourth, Deer in fifth, and Copernicus and Floa both forfeiting. So it's just after the seeding race, the second one. I think this race is all. This. Sorry, I just had to do that. That wall was just annoying me. Okay, like, what am I feeling now? Just shit. Like, I mean, towards the end of that, I was just kind of thinking, oh, I was like, I'm unlucky, I just chose wrong. But nah, it's not that I chose wrong. It's that I didn't realize that you could have just saved a statue to keep your key. I didn't realize that because I'd never experienced it before. And I don't know, I don't even know how it didn't cross my mind. It seems so obvious now that I can just do that. How did I not understand that? I don't even understand, but it just didn't happen. And so I spent way too long looking for an item that was literally last location, so okay. The seed itself was fine. It's just I wasn't. I just made one critical mistake, and then see the seeding score. Like I can guarantee, I don't even know what it is yet because no, everyone's finished. But I can guarantee you, I'm not in first quadrant. You know what? Future me, just put it there. Just put my new score there, and you can also probably put my old one there. Just kind of compare the two, right? Yeah. Thank fuck I have one more seeding race, so I can kind of fix amends. But I'm not gonna get 98. That's unreasonable. Now I'm just gonna try and get into the first quadrant. Like this is probably how Jonas felt at like the end of his 2019 CTWC game, just because, like, for those of you who don't know, Jonas Neubauer is a 7-time world champion of classic Tetris. He was world champion at 7 titles, and he was runner-up or finalist in 2 of them. There's one that he didn't make the finals in. That was 2019 because he lost in the first round, and I can just imagine how he was feeling at that moment, which is probably exactly how I'm feeling. So like the goal going into this was just to stay second seed, just to like, I was really like convinced that this would be a really good run because, you know, I didn't have Gymnast. I didn't like a lot of the people I could easily beat on like any other day. I think if today is a testament to anything, is that like anything can happen. Nothing is set in stone, and it's not just Gymnast to have to look out for. It's everyone, and even my own stupidity. Oh well, it is what it is. I can't change the past because past doesn't exist anymore. It is what it is, and I'm really hoping for a really good 30. I'm really like, fingers are crossed, and just no more words. Just please. I don't want to be in second quadrant, but yeah, we'll see. Yeah, it do be like that though. It still makes me nervous about what's to come, you know. But we'll see. No promises. Like a lot of people have been saying, it's like, oh, like Kickoff wins everything, but it's like, it's like I'm not like amazing. I'm only human. I have like no confidence in myself. Like my confidence has been like from here to here in the span of like 5 hours. I don't know, I've just been doing like seeding, like seed after seed after seed, just trying to gain my confidence back, and that's really going to be the big challenge for this week until the next seeding race, because even though I can say, okay, that was just me being dumb, like had I known that I could key scum I would be first, I can still kind of feel in my mind that it's like, I'm really kind of scared almost, so that doesn't help. I guess I'm just taking this way too seriously. Like, at the end of the day, this is just fun. Like, this is kind of the primary reason of why I've been playing Skyward Sword for so long, is to kind of hope that there would be a competitive event and so I could do well in it. That's not, of course, the only reason. I'm not just doing it for that. I obviously enjoy the game and it's also kind of fun, but like, that was a huge source of my motivation, and now a competitive event has arisen, and I would really want to do well in that. I don't know, we'll see. And hopefully I can build up my confidence until the next seeding race. So we'll see.
It's already the 5th seeding race, so we're getting to late seeding race territory, and without further ado, let's actually get going.
We have the Lanayru special for required dungeons, LMF Sand Ship. Not bonking on the staircase is extremely hard, and that's the gust bellows on the chandelier. So that is logically required for LMF. Okay, Battle Cats is in the Thunderhead. Okay, he got Emerald Tablet, so that's huge for Battle Cats, because he's the only one to have gone into Thunderhead at this point. And Fire Shield Earrings in the Ferruri's Courage chest. But that's one really important item, and one item that may be required, the Thunderhead. Okay, so Battlecats is going to get Oriel's item, which is the bow. So yeah, Battlecats kind of had the advantage of having the Emerald Tablet first, but unfortunately, like, now that Jaznix also has it, now I think Jaznix is going to be taking the lead. Beatrice has the Ancient Sea Chart. That is absolutely required in order to get into Sandship. Although Jaznix kind of has a bit of an edge on progression items, CJ has the edge of already having the Sea Chart. And also Whip on the Ballad of the Goddess check, so we have all 3 of the items that are needed for Sandship. So now here will be the interesting decision for CJ. He might head right to Sandsea. It's a call that could very well decide the race. And Jaznix finding a sword in LMF. Once Jaznix goes to Sandship, Jaznix is going to be in go mode and is just going to head right to the boss. So CJ is done with Sandship, and now we'll see what he decides to do. Unfortunately, it looks like he is going to go for the full sand sea clear. This is 7 checks that are going to have absolutely nothing. Oh no, Battlecast making absolutely the wrong play here. Unfortunately, doing Silent Realms, looking for his seed chart. And unfortunately, Harm is making the same mistake. And as CJ enters go mode, Jasnix defeats Tantalus. GG Jasnix finishing in first place with a time of 2 hours, 35 minutes, and 35 seconds. Yep, GG to CJ finishing in second place with an official time of 3 hours, 4 minutes, and 17 seconds. GG to Flowhop with the time of 3:21:29. Battlecats finishing with a time of 3 hours, 34 minutes, 53 seconds.
And that is going to end off the 5th seeding race of the Skyward Sword Rando Winter Tournament.
Okay, so it's 14th of February. It's the day of the of my 3rd seeding race, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling quite confident, actually. There isn't really much else to say, except, I mean, I will change a few things about my setup, because I think that, like, I don't really want to take any chances. Even though I think my setup was fine, but I think there are a few things that might have been distracting me the first 2 times that I really kind of want to get rid of. The first thing being this camera. This camera right here is my phone, and I don't usually use this, but, you know, when I'm playing, it's kind of distracting to, like, know that there's, like, my phone is pointing right at me. And I also, like, will stop the recording and start it when I think is like a important part that I want to document, which is, like, kind of splitting my head into, like, because on one hand I'm like playing the game, on the other hand I'm thinking, oh well, is this important to think? And I think I just need to cut that out, and instead what I'm going to do is use audio voice memo from my phone so that I don't have a camera pointed at my face all the time. It will definitely make the kind of documentary suck a little bit, but I mean, I'd rather this suck and not my gameplay suck, if you know what I mean. Yeah, other than that, I'm feeling good. I'm hoping that I get a decent seed. And yeah, fingers crossed I'll actually make it into the first quadrant, because now I'm actually kind of buffering between the second and third. This has to be pretty much perfect for me to, well, like, I have to get at least 100 points to get into the first quadrant, and the first quadrant is going to really make things a lot more easier for me. Because if I'm in the second quadrant and I've got Jin in my group, I'm basically like fucked. Because then there's a chance I'm not even going to make it out of the group. If I don't make it out of the group stage, I'm going to fucking cry, right? But yeah, the goal for this race is to score at least 100 points, or just get like a really good score so I can get back into the first quadrant. And again, fingers crossed.
Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Zelda Speedruns and welcome to the Skyward Sword Randomizer 2021 Winter Tournament seeding race number 6. Final seeding race, we're close to getting into the next stage of the tournament.
The 6th seeding race took place on the 14th of February 2021 and was going to be the last chance for any runners to get an improvement of their score. As I was still stuck in the second quartile of the full seeding race, I would need to score incredibly high this race to get back in the first quartile and avoid facing a top seed in the group stage. But this race wouldn't let me have the victory that easily, as it features some great runners such as 64-bit Link, Matchrat, Average Link, and Mario Runner. Alexis was also racing, but he wasn't featured on the restream, and neither was I, as I already had been featured twice. At this point, I felt like my confidence had increased massively, but this would be the ultimate test.
Alright, let's see, what are we getting in here?
The dungeons of this race were interesting, as they were the only 2 dungeons that hadn't been required of any other seeding race. They were also on the shorter side, so this seed had the potential to be much shorter than the others. This time I decided to stay on Skyward for a bit, and got a lot of useful items such as the scale, whip, and a sword, so going into Elden, the open pillar of the seed, I was already 4 items from go mode at the 20-minute mark. I don't know why, but when I got to Elden, I decided to rush Earth Temple. In hindsight, this was pretty risky, but at the time, I just wanted to get one of my required dungeons out of the way, so literally nothing that could help me in Earth Temple, with no bombs, mitts, bow, or beetle, I ventured in, knowing that in order to beat this early, I would have to perform some of the hardest tricks of the game, such as Key Seat and Bombflower Scaldera if I couldn't find any of the items I needed. Very conveniently, I was able to find the beetle, so I didn't need to perform Key Seed, but with no bomb bag, I would still have to perform Bomb Flower Scaldera, which was very stressful, as you can see. I was pretty glad to have beaten him quickly, so I finished my first required dungeon and headed back to the sky. Back in Skyloft, I ended up finding the Ding Mitts, which would have been really great for my first Elden visit, as I would have had access to all the remaining checks. Plus, it would have meant that I could have skipped doing a lot of things, such as the slow iterations of Back in Time. So as I was having no more checks on Skyloft, I headed back to Elden with the Mitts to see if I could find anything, and sure enough, I ended up finding some useful items like my second beetle, the bow, and the Gust Bellows. And when I headed back to Skyloft, I found the Emerald Tablet locked behind the Gust Bellows. After a little bit of cleanup on Skyloft, I headed to Farron to beat Ancient Cistern and hopefully find my last sword and Goddess Harp. I ended up going through Cistern quite quickly with minimal mistakes, but I still didn't find anything of value in there. So I left and afterwards quickly found the Clawshot and the bombs, which opened up more checks. At this point I was absolutely dreading finding the Amber Tablet, because it would open up the whole Lanayru region, where you can waste a lot of time in a sword hunt. As my checks dwindled, I ended up finding the harp in the Waterfall bomb chest in the Volcano Summit, and was hoping to find the sword soon after, but after more searching, I found something I really didn't want to. I think my face just says it all in this moment, because at this point, I really want to find the sword and just be done. Because the more time I spend looking, the more time my opponents get either catching up to me or finding the last sword before me. So after cleaning up a bit more of Skyloft, I headed to Lanayru and prayed that I would find the sword fairly quickly. As I kept searching through the very check-dense area that was the Lanayru Desert, I kept finding nothing. So in a moment of madness and sheer panic, I decided to, instead of going to Sandsea, make a play that was completely illogical. You see, since my terrible performance in the full seeding race, I had been over-analyzing previous games to try and find the optimal strategy, but notice how I said over-analyze. One of the things that I kinda got wrong when analyzing was Gymnast's play to go to Volcano Summit in the third seeding race. At the time, I didn't realise that Gymnast had already cleared Farron, and what I thought he did was ignore that region and go to the summit. Because at the time I didn't have a good answer for why he did it, I made a note in my brain that said, Volcano Summit can be a good play to dip if you're in the late game, and going back to the 6th seeding race, because I was getting scared, after finding nothing in Lanayru, I said, fuck it, and fully fell into this strategy and planned to dip Summit. But thankfully, there was a character in the game which prevented me from making such a stupid play, and that character was Dodo. Dodo had the last sword, and my thought process was as he was kind of on the way to Summit, I checked him, and well, I kinda got lucky with that. So with me finally being in go mode, I had to fight the Imprisoned and the endgame. Because I spent so much time in Lanayru, I was really scared that someone would finish before me, but luckily, that didn't happen. I would end up finishing with a time of 2 hours, 52 minutes, and 31 seconds, which was not bad considering that the seed was a sword hunt into Lanayru. I was thinking that someone would have passed me out of Lanayru as I wasted so much time there, and that in fact was true. 64-bit Link, who ended up going to Dodo fairly early on, was able to skip a large portion of Lanayru that I did, and was actually ahead going through the Gate of Time, but luckily for me, my execution pulled through and ended up giving me the solid lead to clutch out first place. The final standings of this race was me in first, 64-bit Link in second, Matt Strats in third, your average Link in fourth, Mario forfeiting, and Alexis disqualified, which I'll get into later. So after the race, I was pretty happy to be back in the first quartile. Granted, I was the 4th seed, which could make things messy for the bracket stage, but not having to face the top seed, at least in the group stage, felt great. So the next day, the groups would be rolled to see who would play who. Okay, so going on to the thing about investigative work. I've noticed that on the spreadsheet, 2 of Arachnus' times are crossed out and he got 0 points for that. And I was thinking, why? Well, I know why now, because I just looked at his VODs. And, okay, basically what happened, right? So basically it's his first and third races that that are crossed out. And in those specific races, he typed in his own chat, which is very clearly against the rules. Like, dude, just, what? You know, I just feel bad for him. Because of that, he's gonna have a mountain to climb in the group stage. Because he's gonna be against people in the first, second, and third quadrant. So basically people next to or better than him. So yeah. I mean, I'm not complaining. I went from 5th to 4th now, so that's good. Dude, Araxes, why? That's an oopsie and a half if I've ever seen one. Hello, hi, I'm from the future. So at this point it's been a few months since the tournament, it's now October. So at this point I've just done 3 seeding races, 2 of them which were good, and 1 of them not so much. And as much as that hurt my confidence, at least I was able to build it back up for the 6th seeding race and to do something good then. And even though I was able to make it into the top quartile, I was still 4th seed, which at worst case scenario would mean that I'd face Gymnast 86 in the semi-finals. But I wasn't going to let that worry me, as for the time being, I didn't have any major threats I had to deal with in my group. So, the next stage was just me getting out of the group stage. But first, the groups would have to be assigned. Okay, so currently it is 16th of February, 8:52 PM. In about 8 minutes they're going to reveal the groups, which is going to be really interesting. Also, I do have some more news on the whole Alexis stuff. It turns out that mods have done some further investigating, and he is disqualified from the entire tournament. He's out. I don't know how to feel about this, because, I mean, I'm obviously going to be, like, you know, have completely wrong opinions, because I don't have the footage, or, like, the evidence right now. But, I mean, Alexis didn't really seem like he would cheat, or I didn't really know him, but he didn't seem like he wanted to win so badly. He wanted to cheat. Like, it wouldn't really add up. But again, I'm pretty sure like the mods here are Flower, 64-bit CJ, and like Muzu. Like, these are people who I would like kind of trust about this stuff. And obviously they'd have way more info. So I'm just gonna assume that they know what they're talking about. Okay, I just wanted to pause for a second and quickly butt in. In the 2 years since this tournament has concluded, I have been part of the SSR moderation team and the former racing council, and having these roles has given me the opportunity to look at the evidence for myself. I'm obviously not going to go too in depth about a lot of it because it is still classified 2 years on, but looking at it now, if you ask me did he cheat, I would absolutely say yes. At the very least, he did knowingly break some clearly defined tournament rules, which by itself is enough to be issued a tournament ban. Anyway, back to it. And let's go on with the group stages reveal stuff. Boy.
Hello everybody! We're gonna be rolling 5 groups with 4 participants each. Let's spin this wheel. We're gonna be rolling the first seed for the first group in here.
Alright, what are we doing? Who's a good beat? Who's a
So,
good beat?
what are we getting? Oh, Lepalaw.
Alright.
Very
Lepus, oh no in chat. Okay, yeah.
Lepus is gonna find out his first group opponent in here. Ooh, it's barely Pepper.
Oh, it's the 2 rando devs. We got the 2 devs,
Yeah,
boy.
With that, we have completed the first group.
Lepalog, Pepper, Matstrat, and Emu.
Time to spin the first wheel again. Oh boy.
Jim, it's Jim, it's Jim. Extra is panics as justice. Yeah.
Just lose 2 matches in a row.
Yes, I fucking called it. I fucking called it. Yo, it's the fucking extra in the same group as Jim. Yes.
Alright, with that we have our second group consisting of Gymnast 86, Exodasher, Calm Down Sam, and Deer. Alright, now let's move on over to group 3. That is 64-bit Link, Muzu, Battlecats, Ricky. Oh boy, I could see some interesting surprises in this group. Time to roll
to group 4.
Yeah.
Alright, come on. Me or Jasnix? Who's in group 4 and who's in group 5? Here we go.
Oh, okay, it's Jasnix.
Okay, I'm in group 5. I'm in group 5. CJ in my group would be interesting.
Well, you're gonna be getting Kit Cod.
I'm with CJ, fuck!
And now, it's coming to an end. The last wheel. The last spin. Mario Runner and Harmgen.
Alright, come on. Me and Harm. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh, come on. I'm in Mario. Nice. Nice.
So, yeah, we have concluded all of our 5 groups. And boy, these looks like some interesting groups.
That was actually quite cool. My group is CJ, Fio, and Mario Runner. I'm feeling confident. I think the only person I need to be really worried about is CJ. I think Fio could probably put up a fight, but I think I'm okay with Mario, if I'm being really honest. But yeah, I'll make my predictions about the whole thing in the morning, and hell yeah, bitch. Okay, so it's the next day, and yeah, I've basically written down my predictions, and also I'll just generally go over what the groups are. Okay, so first group, Lepalog, Peppernicus, Matstrats, and YBU. This is actually quite an interesting one, because Lepalog and Pepper are both the main developers of the Randomizer, so we could see them both go head-to-head, which would be interesting for a group stage. And then we also have like YBU and Matstrats, 2 like kind of newcomers to the competitive Skyward Sword scene, so I think that's going to be pretty cool. Group B, oh my god, Group B is going to be insane. Gymnast 86, Exto, Calm Down Sam, and Deer. We got Gymnast and Exo, the 2 like top runners of the vanilla game, in the same group. It's because Exto just like barely missed the first quadrant. He would have been the first quadrant, but I think he was like 7th seed, which is like just below the first. It's like just into the second quadrant. So Jim and Exto got put in the same group. So I'll be very interested to see how they do. I just feel like so bad for Sam and Deer because they now just have like a fucking mountain to climb. It's like insane. Given enough upsets, I do think Sam could pull it off, I think. Deer, he's kind of a newcomer, so if he does, that'll be very surprising and very interesting. But I think if they just roll a bad seed, I think Sam could pull it off. But again, they have a fucking mountain to climb. Alright, Group C, 64-bit Link, Muzu, Battlecats, and Ricky of Fury. This is also quite an interesting one as well, because 64 and Muzu are roughly, like, very kind of similar in terms of, like, skill level. So the fact that they're both in different quadrants is quite interesting. Battlecats, he's definitely a newcomer, but he's also shown a lot of improvement, so I think he can also be a contender for this group as well. Okay, so yeah, Group D, we got Jasnix, Average Link, Flower, and Harm Jan. Yeah, I think that like this is kind of a clear divide. I think that like Jasnix and your Average Link could definitely take it. Again, if they have like really bad seeds, if they have a really unfortunate seeds for Jasnix and Average Link, I think Flo and Harm Jan, but mainly Flo, they could pull it off. But I mean, I'm just saying, just like this is quite a group. Okay, Group E. This is the best group because I'm in it. Okay, so we got me, CJ, Fio, and Mariana. Just personally, I think that I can pretty much easily take Fio and Mariana, although CJ is kind of like might be a force to be reckoned with here. Like I know like my advantage is speed, but like CJ's routing is phenomenal. Like he can literally read logic in ways that I just don't understand. Mainly because I think he wrote the logic, so he understands it way more than me. So I think he'd definitely win against like seed that's heavy in like late game guessing. But I do have kind of a speed advantage over him because I'm just naturally faster. So I'll just hope that pays off, I guess. Okay, so those are all the groups I'm definitely excited about, and I've also written down my predictions for it. Okay, so Group A, I think this is going to go kind of how it is, like round 2 winners bracket, Leperlog versus Copernicus. I'd say Leper, but I can easily see Pepper winning this, to be honest. And losers round 2, again, it's Pepper and Mashups, and I could much more see Pepper winning that one. Group B, Gymnast is, I'd be surprised if anyone bops Gymnast at this stage. I think Exto could do it, but Exto said it himself, he's not amazing at the randomizer. And so again, I think that like Jim and Exto would be the ones to advance, although again, Sam could pull it off if Exto has like a really bad seed. Okay, Group C, so here I think that like, so 64 versus Muzu. In my predictions, I'm going to go with Muzu, just because like she tends to be more on top, but I can easily see both of them winning. Like, they're both very equally skill-based in like both speed and routing, so I can see that going either way. But I don't really see Battlecats or Ricky advancing, because they just got those two people. A similar story for Group D, I don't really see Flo or Harm Jan advancing, although I would really want to see like either Flo or Harm make it a little bit further in the tournament, but I mean, we'll see, of course. Group E, again, Group E, I think that's going to go as high as expected as well. Like, I'm probably going to win all my matches, and probably CJ's definitely going to go. And again, I don't really see Mario or Fio advancing on stage. Although, I guess, like, none of these are specifically bad runners. It's just that I think that me and CJ are just, like, a little bit more faster and just know we're doing more. Although, me versus CJ, in my predictions, I've written down it as me. But I think CJ could easily pull this one off, because as we've seen from the seeding races, I'm not invincible, so I can of course easily see CJ winning this. But in my predictions, I'm going to go with myself. So that is my group stage predictions. Hopefully, like, we'll see what happens, and I'm definitely really excited for the group stage. And yeah.
Alright, hey everyone, we've got a winner's bracket round 1 with Yubu versus Lepalog.
So, just like the linear dungeons, it seems.
Lepe going into LMF now. Oh, there's the other sword!
Alright, I am willing to put Lepa solidly in the lead here. This is a huge gamble from Lepa. And it's boss key! The gamble pays off! That's it, Lepa is in go mode. So, GG's to Lepa.
Big GG's.
Hello everybody, this is Group 2, winner bracket round 1. It's Gymnast 86 versus Deer.
So dungeons were Earth Temple and Fire Sanctuary this time around.
Might be something that Gymnast would be more favored, since I'm not sure if the Deer knows all the Fire Sanctuary strats. Wow, we're pretty close to a lot of Fire Sanctuary requirements.
We're missing 2 swords and...
Fire Shield earrings at least,
the Fire
and
Shield.
a bottle.
Oh no! He forfeited.
That's sad. If he got the bottle here, he would have been ahead.
Jim finishing with a time of 2:05:37.
The gate has been lifted and our runners will be starting shortly.
Earth Temple LMF, so I got one of them right.
Well, there's Master Sword. And
Let's go, Mo. So, unfortunately, this is gonna be a wrap for Sam.
And GG to Exto, finishing in first place with a time of 2:27.22.
All right, hey everyone. It's gonna be Matt Strats versus Lepalog of Group 1 and Calm Down Sam versus Deer of Group 2.
Also Skyview Fire Sanctuary.
And we got the Amber tablet on Butro 50. So we'll probably see Lepe go straight to Linearu.
And Fire Shield Earrings in the Party Wheel chest.
So Sam just got the Amber tablet from Butro.
We've got Fire Shield Earrings pickup from Sam.
The Master Sword on the Dig Spot.
Lepe knows he's done hunting for swords. Lepalog finally at 2 hours and 29 minutes is in go mode.
But Deer now has the Emerald tablet and is in go mode.
Sam has forfeited from the race. That is very unfortunate.
And
Yeah.
GG Lepalog finishing
GG.
with a 2:59.38.
Deer finishing with a time of 3:37.08.
Hey everyone, we've got Gymnast and Exodasher.
Skyview Sandship. Another Sandship done seed, but ooh, getting Beetle here is pretty big because it means all of Skyview is in Logic now. Another sword upgrade.
Exto is still a little bit behind. It's not quite as big of a gap as it might appear.
There's the Master Sword.
This seed's just gonna come down to where are the claw shots. Jim is in go mode, but Exto probably will not be that far behind. And with that, Jim finishes in first place with a time of 2:06.44.
Jeez, Jim.
Alright, we have a Skyward Sword randomizer match here for you. We have Exto and Deer for you today.
Another Sandship, nice.
Sandship seed. This tourney version is cursed.
We'll see what Petrus is in, like right now.
It's the bow! Deer getting huge payoff from that. Emerald
Yes.
tablet!
The Emerald tablet.
Exo's going on the goose chase!
So he just needs one more sword and a tablet, and then, oh my god.
This race is insane. Alright, go to Farron, Deer. Deer done with Gearham. Deer is going for the end game.
And he does it! He's made it through to the final stage at bopping Exto, the former Hundo world record holder.
Today in Group 3, we've got Ricky of Kakuri versus 64-bit Link.
Ancient Cistern and Sandship. Ooh, Ancient Cistern, that's required. That's very good. Well, there's the win. And 64 finds the True Master Sword. And 64 is officially done. Official time of 3:11.22 for this.
We've got a match between Muzu and Battle Cats.
LMF
Dude,
Cistern.
Cistern, let's go.
Fair during Skype. Oh, well, there's the Amber tablet. That... Come on. It's the last Beetle! That's so huge for Muzu.
Finishes in first place with a time of 2:37.26. GG.
So losers bracket round 1, Battle Cats 59 versus Ricky of Kokiri.
Yeah, we're about to see what the dungeons are actually. Ancient Cistern and Fire Sanctuary. Okay, that's interesting. Emerald Tablet on Digging Mitts, so nice. Barra has Amber Tablet. Okay, so Battlecats has all three. Okay, there's Hook Beetle. Battlecats can basically fully clear Fire Sanctuary now. So yeah, we're just on the hunt for the last sword and then we're good.
Oh, well, okay, there's the sword.
Yeah, GG both runners.
GG's both.
We got Group 3 Winners Bracket Round 2 for you today. It's Muzu versus 64-bit Link.
Skyview and LMF. That's an interesting combination. Oh, that's the Master Sword. That's pretty good. Aw, Emerald Tablet. But yeah, that means you can clear most of Skyview. And the Beetle was actually on the bias. I hate to see it. GG.
Today we have Group 3 Losers Bracket Round 2, 64-bit Link versus Battlecats 59.
Oh my God.
Fire Sanctuary.
There's the whip.
64 is a big advantage at this point. Please let this be something for our boy Battlecats. It's vanilla earrings! That's huge! And the Master Sword! We are C-chart away from Go mode.
And that
GG Battlecats.
Hey everyone, we've got a Group 4 winners bracket with Jaznix and Harmyon.
Earth Temple,
and Ancient Sister.
It's the room.
Is it? Oh my god.
What's a claw shot?
Claw shot. Oh, this is huge for Harmyon. Don't forfeit Harm. No. No. No.
And GG. Jaznix finished with a time of 2:44.25.
We have Group 4 winners bracket round 1 for you today. It's Your Average Link versus Floha 258.
Ancient Cistern and Sandship, so that's not too terrible. Ooh, that's pretty big, actually. And that is the Ruby Tablet from Average Link. This could be, like, the make or break moment on this seed.
Okay, he is in Go mode.
And that will be it for him.
Your Average Link is finished in first place with a time of 2:41.03.
This is Group 4 lower bracket round 1. It's Harmjan 387 versus Floha 258.
Earth Temple Laneru Mining Facility. Not bad.
That's quite a lot. Oh wait,
Oh, that's big. Oh, what?
There we go. We had to catch up.
He got it. This is extremely close now.
Okay, Flo took over. Yeah.
This is so close.
And that
there it is. That's game.
Jaznix versus Your Average Link.
Skyview
Sandship. Okay, average Link faster of about 5 seconds.
And a sword! So if Average Link rushes Fire Node, I would put him in the lead.
That's the whip!
That is Go mode for Jaznix.
GG's to Jaznix.
With a time of 2:58.42.
Group 1, Matchstrats vs Ibu, and Group 4, Your Average Link vs Floha in a double header.
LMF Sandship.
These runners are probably livid right now.
One of 2 required beetles in the last dig spot. There's the Amber Tablet, so Ibu has a huge advantage right now.
The Hook Beetle.
Levias required again. Well, stacked as hell Thunderhead. And Your Average Link finishing in first place in his race and overall with an official time of 2 hours, 58 minutes, and 35 seconds.
GG for Matt.
GG, Matt.
Okay, so it's the 27th of February 2021, and I've got my first group stage match in about an hour. It's 4 PM right now, it's at 5 PM, and I'm feeling good about it actually. Although I haven't really been doing as much practice as I'd liked. I still kind of feel a bit confident, but I don't want to get overconfident if the second seeding race taught me anything. But yeah, I mean, there's been some upsets, most notably Pepper going down to the losers bracket quite early on. I think so far if there's ever been like a really stacked match, it's definitely the Jim versus Exo, because that was like synced Go mode and them both finishing like a minute apart from each other. It was insane for a group stage match, but yeah, they got put in the same group, which was quite interesting. And hopefully we can get through the group stage with no issues, although again, I don't want to be too overconfident, because again, I know that like dropping down to the loser bracket is definitely it's something that can definitely happen, because like everyone in my group has some experience with the game. Like we don't have anyone who's like new to the game, even though Harmjan's not that new to the game, but you know what I mean. Like I like to think that at this point I'm kind of a veteran when it comes to Scouts. So no, Fio is like the veteran. He's been like speedrunning this since like 13, 14 or like whatever, I don't know. So it's going to be fun, and my race starts in an hour, so let's get going. The Group 5 Winners Bracket first round match with myself and Mario Runner happened on the 27th of February 2021, and whilst it was easy to say that this race was a clear victory on my part, given I had a speed advantage and better routing in general, I should have learnt my lesson earlier about being overly confident. The run started with the two fastest dungeons that could have been required, Skyview Temple and the Earth Temple, meaning that the seed had the potential to be incredibly fast.
So I guess realistically we only need one item here, either Slingshot or Beetle, either of them will do just fine.
During the first Skyloft trip, I managed to find my projectile item for Skyview, being the Slingshot, and the Bomb Bag, which opened up Earth Temple, assuming I'd find the Ruby Tablet soon enough.
I guess that could be like something, right? We get the dungeons done early, but there's still so much to do.
At this point, I was experimenting with different techniques and reading the randomizer logic, and noted down that I found Bomb Bag in Sphere 0. I decided to stay on Skyloft for a little bit more, only focusing on the checks that I could do, and not on any progression or required dungeons that I was able to beat.
So here's, I think, when they're going to make their first big decision. Mario looks like he's dipping off of Skyloft right away.
I didn't end up finding a whole lot in my second Skyloft trip, so I headed to Farron with nowhere else to go.
Definitely not the best items, so I assume you'll go to Farron.
Once in Farron, I immediately found the Gust Bellers, which is kind of a gut punch as it opened up more stuff on Skyloft that I couldn't do previously. Farron didn't house items that could have been useful earlier though, because throughout my trip, I found the Digging Mitts and the Ruby Tablet, opening up the entirety of Eldon minus the summit. Even though I had many checks available in Eldon, I decided to go deeper into Farron and complete Skyview, which is one of my required dungeons, so I was going to end up doing that anyway.
Looks like Mario's going to continue through Eldon and probably just full clear up to Earth Temple and kick out heading into Skyview.
I ended up seeing the boss key behind the bars in the main room, which logically requires the beetle or the whip to get. But earlier I learnt the strat with the slingshot to get it, so I wouldn't need to exit Skyview trying to find the beetle. At the end of Skyview, I found a sword upgrade and the Ballad of the Goddess, which allowed access to the Thunderhead in the sky.
Sword and harp is all we're looking for.
Yes!
This could be a 1 hour seed.
So I headed back to the sky after clearing the rest of Farron to see if I could find 2 more sword upgrades or the Goddess Harp. It's pretty clear that a lot of my routing strategy at this time centered around Skyloft, and this match shows that the most, but not everyone in the commentary booth necessarily agreed with the Skyloft-centric mindset.
I'm wondering why he's going for these out-of-the-way checks here, considering that this could very well be a complete jet seat here.
Whilst I was on Skyloft, I noticed that I wasn't getting many useful items, so when I went into the Thunderhead, I elected not to do the Levias check, as I was starting to feel like I was behind.
Who knows?
Yeah, Levias has changed the fate of many a randomizer races before. If Mario finds Harp at the end of Earth Temple, then that's big. Kick-Hut skips Levias, and he's not going to Eldon. What is Kick-Hut doing?
At this point, I didn't want to find the Amber Tablet at all, as Lanayru is a big region and it's very easy to lose time there, but after more Skyloft cleanup, I did find the Amber Tablet, much to my disappointment.
But again, it might not even be... Oh no.
If Kick-Hut goes to Lanayru here, I am losing my mind.
I did choose to go to Eldon, as I really didn't want to search through the entirety of a large region when I could beat all my required dungeons, and I ended up finding the sword upgrades I needed in Eldon, so going into Earth Temple, it was going to be a harp hunt.
Kick-Out opening up Earth Temple.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting here. I mean, I assume Harp will end up being on Lanayru somewhere.
Going through Earth Temple, I wasn't able to find the harp, so the idea of going into Lanayru was still on my mind. And given that I found bombs very early on, I was predicting that harp would be somewhere behind a bomb box check in Lanayru, but part of me still don't want to lose a lot of time, and just wanted to go back to Skyloft. And that's what I did. And let's just say, that was a good move on my part.
Oh, there's the harp. Kick-Hut is in Gobo.
Kick-Hut. Yeah,
So
Kick-Hut
that's
probably
it.
just won the game.
Yes.
I ever so conveniently found the Goddess Harp on Skyloft, and so I could head straight to the Gate of Time and beat the game.
GG Kick-Hut. Congratulations.
Going through the endgame, I was somewhat confident that I would win the match, and I did. I finished the seed in a time of 1 hour, 39 minutes and 8 seconds, which was the fastest recorded time anyone had completed a randomizer seed in a race. Going into the interview, I wasn't sure what to expect about Mario's whereabouts, but in my mind it was a possibility that I could have been lost in Lanayru, or just generally behind. But in fact, he was much closer to me than I expected. By the time I finished, Mario Runner was opening the Gate of Time and going into the Horde fight, which our first seed versus 4th seed match was insanely close. The biggest difference between us was that because Mario Runner didn't end up going to Skyloft as many times as I did, he chose to focus more on surface regions and required dungeons, and thus he ended up being able to skip many of the checks, which I ended up doing. Prioritizing required dungeons was a big part of my routing strategy at this point, and in hindsight, I definitely should have gone to Earth Temple way sooner, But during the race and in the heat of the moment, it just didn't cross my mind that I was able to beat it, and thus I ended up wasting a lot of the mid-game running around Skyloft. The day ended with me winning the match against Mario Runner, as it was predicted, but it wasn't an easy win, and had I done anything different, like gone to Lanayru for example, Mario could have easily beaten me. I would have to step up my game, as for future matches, I couldn't rely on lucky item placements. Okay, so it's after the race. That's actually a lot after the race. I don't know why it took me this long, but it did. So, but it's now the 3rd of March. Yeah, that race was really close actually. I was only 6 minutes behind. It was much closer than I thought it would be. Like, I mean, I was fairly confident against Mario Runner, but he's much more of a formidable opponent than I thought. And I'm not saying that I thought he was trash, but it's like I went into it thinking that I should be able to beat him. But like again, I should probably just stop having that mindset, because like this is not like previous tournaments where I can kind of just like relax for like the first 3 matches and, you know, maybe like have to try a little bit in the endings. No, here it's like all through, and that doesn't help by the fact that I'm going to have the most improbable run to the finals, because again I've got Group 5, which is one of the more scary groups, and assuming there are no upsets, assuming I win all my matches, I'll have to face 64-bit or Muzu in the quarterfinals, Gymnast 86 in the semi-fucking finals probably, and like Exto, Jasnix or Leper in the finals. I'll get into more of what I think is going to happen when I get into the single elimination predictions, but that's like the current roster, and it's gonna fun. So yeah, I think this tournament is definitely so much different. It's so much more competitive than the last time, and I absolutely love this. I've always kind of wanted a competitive scene for this game, as I've said previous times. But yeah, again, it was really close. But yeah, I've got my match against CJ on Saturday, and that's gonna be really interesting, because again, CJ can beat me, I guess, if he routes it exceptionally, and he is good at routing. So that one's anyone's game. But I can't relax in any of these. I have to give it my all, and I just have to go in with it, just kind of not being too cocky, not being too overconfident, and just kind of playing my best. And this is insane. We're already in the group stage, and this is bonkers. Okay, so it's the 6th of March 2021, and today is the day of my winner bracket finals match against CJ. Honestly, I'm actually quite scared of this matchup, to be honest, because I know CJ is a formidable opponent. I can definitely see him beating me. So yeah, I'm a little bit scared, but you know, I'll just kind of keep my chin up, hope that I get a good seed on the day that would work with my decisions, and I'll just keep rising until then. But yeah, I can easily see both of us winning. Like, I'm a really fast runner. CJ is really good at routing and making decisions. So this is going to be an odd match. We got like one person who's really good at something and one person who's really good at another thing. So I'm kind of nervous for this, not gonna lie. Now, losing is something I wouldn't entirely be kind of bummed out of, because if I win this, I will have to guarantee a match against Gymnast in the semi-finals. But I'm assuming he'll win his quarterfinals match. If he doesn't, I'll be very fucking surprised. So yeah, if I win this, I'll be full seed, and as he's first, we'll meet each other in the semi-finals, which is kind of scary, to be honest. But if I lose, then I have an opportunity to be in maybe the second half of the bracket, which means I might not have to. But that's a really big gamble, because I might still be in the first half, and I might not get that bye, which you would in the first round. So whilst I really do want to win, because it would put me in like a much more certain position, losing wouldn't be entirely bad, assuming I win that losers bracket match. If I were to lose this and lose the losers bracket match, then that would kind of fucking suck, because I'd be out, and I wouldn't get to be in the single elimination stage, which would be very unfortunate. But yeah, that's how it is now. I definitely see myself making the single elimination stage. All I have to do is just win once, and I get 2 opportunities to screw that up. The Group 5 Winners Bracket Finals match against CJ took place on the 6th of March 2021. I knew CJ was a good player in his own right, having a great understanding of the game and the logic, so I definitely knew that he could route way better than me, but I also know that I had quite a significant speed advantage, so going into it, I was the expected victor. But anything could happen.
And we're off.
The sea started off with the 2 slowest dungeons, Sandship and Fire Sanctuary. Both of these dungeons required a lot of items, so it was likely that the seed was going to be on the longer side.
So that means that there is a lot of items required. We're going to be needing likely whip, definitely claw shots, bow, fire shield earrings, the ancient sea chart. There's a lot of required items.
During the first Skyloft trip, I found another tablet and the bow, both useful items that would be needed later, and also the Hylian shield, which is useful as I wouldn't need to buy a shield later on, plus it's the best shield in the game. Even though there are many checks to do on both surface regions, I headed back to Skyloft as I knew CJ was a fan of staying on Skyloft for a while, and during my second Skyloft visit, I decided to pick up 5 loose crystals and get up to 20 total gratitude crystals, and I would be rewarded by finding the Ruby tablet, which at this point opened up the first half of Elden.
11 minutes in. This is crazy. They already have all 3 tablets open. They have so many checks available to them at the moment. We're looking at a very long seed here at the moment.
I was faced with a lot of choices, and as I knew CJ was good at making routing decisions, this wasn't the situation that I was hoping for, as if there was a more linear seed, my execution would be able to shine through more so. At this point, I just decided to trust the maths and statistics and go to the area with the most checks, which happened to be Elden. Whilst I was in Elden, I found the Cursed Medal, an item which once placed in your pouch will make it so that you are unable to access any of the items in your pouch, including shields, and as I got the Hylian shield of this match, I had some colourful words to say about that. Dude, I just lost my Hylian shield, for fuck's sake. At the end of my relatively large trip through most of Elden, I found the bomb bag and seed chart, both quite useful items. Because the bomb bag opened up quite a lot in Lanayru, I decided to go there. During my trip in Lanayru, I found the claw shots in the coined KitKat chest.
KitKat not forgetting to open the KitKat chest.
Which is fitting because in a previous race, it is called that because I didn't know that chest existed and I last locationed it, and it ended up being the claw shots. I guess some things never change. Okay, the claw shots is here calling it. Oh my god, that's the 4th fucking time, dude. That is the 4th time. And that's my chest as well, my god. Nearing the end of my again lengthy trip in the surface region, I noticed that some of Sandship was unlocked, so I decided to clear some of that, albeit without the whip.
This is a very interesting play. Over half of the Sandship checks are locked behind whip, so I don't think we'll see CJ doing this. Now the best thing for KitKat here would be to find whip. Very unlikely though. So the first chest was nothing, the second chest was nothing. If this third chest is nothing, then whip is required to be able to do anything in Sandship. Nothing, so no boss key, no small key. The Sandship dip was completely pointless.
I unfortunately didn't find anything and continued my trip through Sandsea.
We can see that the Sandship dip did not pay off. While KitKat did have a lead, he kind of threw it by checking there. And so it will be interesting to see what CJ is going to do now.
Whilst I was in Sandsea, I wouldn't end up finding much, except Ballad of the Goddess, which unlocked the Thunderhead, so it might not have been all for nothing. However, because of how sparse Sandsea is, it's very easy to lose quite a bit of time there if nothing is useful. Because I knew that I had a speed advantage over CJ, I prioritized safe routing, opting to full clear areas where I could. So it was expected that I would lose a bit of time here. Except my trip to Sandsea wasn't all for nothing, as in the Thunderhead I found the Gust Bellows and 2 sword upgrades, making it a required area.
Another sword! Oh no! Oh, that puts CJ so far behind. That is absolutely devastating for CJ. CJ is going to need to do unless CJ finds harp or fire shield earrings here, then that's big. Or whip, I guess. Oh my goodness.
During my trip to the sky, I did find some items that could be leading to progression, such as the spiral charge, so I did other checks there including the Vias, where I unfortunately found nothing there. So I headed to Farron next, in hopes of finding either the whip or the earrings, and it didn't take me long to find one of them.
Fire shield earrings! That is really big. If I'm KitKat, I'm beelining it for Fire Sanctuary right now.
So at this point I could beat for the Fire Sanctuary, but I elected to stay in Farron for a little bit more, as I still wanted to route safely. This included doing the Farron trial, where I was hoping for it to be Hook Beetle, as then I could full clear the Fire Sanctuary, but instead it was just a bottle. I also elected to do more stuff on Skyloft, again hoping to find the Hook Beetle, and I did, on the Beatrice check, another long check. I went through Fire Sanctuary mostly in the intended way, and ended up finding nothing, and at this point I was getting pretty nervous, because it's a very long dungeon and wasting time in it can be detrimental.
We're at the 2-hour mark, so from this point CJ can finish at any point.
KitKat is about to be really confused when he doesn't find the whip in Fire Sanctuary.
And it was completely empty. Why not?
At this point, I just went for check density, hoping that the whip would be nearby. So I travelled to Lanayru, and that is where I found the whip. Because of just how open the seed was, I had no idea where CJ could be. So I just tried to have the best endgame I could possibly have, and hope for the best.
Now the funny thing is, if you're KitKat right now, you're worried about, oh man, I took forever to finish this seed. So in KitKat's mind, CJ could finish any moment now.
I can totally imagine this coming down to hold skip, which means I have to get hold skip. Or I have to go anyway, but no, Jesus.
No, fuck! No, dude.
If this comes down to a whole skip, I swear, dude.
The rest of the game went, and I did quite well, and finished in first place with a time of 2 hours, 55 minutes, and 32 seconds. A much more different finish time compared to my first match, and probably my slowest first place finish time at this point.
And GG KitKat.
GG KitKat. A 2:55 first place victory.
It turns out, I got pretty lucky with how CJ played, as he unfortunately went aggressive by delaying the Ballad of the Goddess check and Skipper's Retreat, which both had necessary items to beat the game. Even with this, CJ had many opportunities where he could have beaten me, as he did a lot of the required dungeons before me, and if items required to beat the game ended up being in those dungeons, that could have been serious trouble. But that didn't happen. I took the expected dub and was on my way to the bracket stage, consisting of a single elimination bracket, where there would be harder competition and no room for errors. Okay, so it's the day after the me versus CJ race. That's actually quite an interesting seed. It was very long. Now, I did win that, but I think a lot of that came down to CJ making a lot of mistakes. I don't think I made any huge mistakes, but I think that had CJ not made any mistake, I think if he played flawless, I want to say he probably could have beat me, I think. Because I think for definitely kind of like the midway through the race, he was definitely at a better position than me, skipping a lot of checks. But unfortunately, the later game, the ones he skipped were actually the ones with the useful items, which is why he lost. So yeah, he'll go to the loser's bracket, and I will advance to the single elimination stage as the 4th seed. And now that I know that, and I know Jinless will be 1st seed, this guarantees that I will, assuming we won't make it to there, I will have to face Jinless in the semi-finals, which is not what I wanted. I would, if I would want to, I mean, obviously I do want to face Jinless, but obviously I want to face him in the finals, not because that's a best of 3, so I can afford to be bad at the game. But in semi-finals and previously, you just get one shot. So yeah, that's going to be interesting, assuming we both make it there. Now we've got Muzu versus 64-bit Link. We got their matchup later today. If 64-bit wins, he will be the 5th seed, and he'll be against me in the quarterfinals. And if Muzu wins, I don't know who I'd be against. Probably someone different. So nothing's set in stone yet. I mean, in general, I'm just glad that I might be able to play Jim, assuming I win quarterfinals. And he wins quarterfinals. I would not see a world where he'll lose in the quarterfinals. I would not see a world in that. If he gets out in the quarterfinals, I'd be very surprised and happy, because then I still have a chance of winning. But yeah, assuming I get to play Jim, I'd be happy, because honestly, the matchup against me and Jim would be insane. It's something I'd want to see and play in. So yeah. Now, as I have advanced to the single elimination stage, I have time because I still have to wait for the rest of the group stage. So I might be able to actually do a few streamed runs, maybe if there's enough time. Much of a time gap. But yeah, I just kind of keep practicing and see what happens really. So at this point, I've just got out of the group as 1st place, although I'm still 4th seed, and as Jinlist also did the same, albeit with a close race, it's even more likely now they'll be facing each other in the semi-finals. Not only that, but Muzu, another really good runner, I'll have to face in the quarterfinals. So my bracket was pretty stacked, and because it was single elimination, I had no safety net, which means one mistake, one bad decision, or just being unlucky means that I'd be eliminated. So there was a lot of stress going around. But from my time outside of speedrunning, I'd been in situations like this before. So as I progressed in figure skating over the past decade, I've been British champion 3 times, and I've been to 3 international events, all of which learning a lot about how I deal with nerves. And I definitely need that knowledge of how to deal with my nerves in the bracket stage of the first ever Skyward Sword Randomizer tournament. Okay, so it's been quite a while since I've done one of these because I've kind of just been practicing and not filming, I guess. And so with the group stage finished, we can actually have a look at the single elimination bracket and see where I am. Fuck! So right here, these are my predictions for how things will go. Alright, so the first side of the bracket is basically just death. Like, we got Gymnast, me, Muzu, Battlecats, and Matchstrats. Me, Gymnast, and Muzu, might I remind you, are the top 3 finishers of the showcase. So, yeah, the fact that we got put on the same side of the bracket is nuts. So, Battlecats versus Matchstrats, I'm predicting Battlecats, although I think they're both roughly around the same skill level, I think, in many ways. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Matchstrats take this, but I'll say Battlecats, because I think he's, like, slightly at a better position in terms of his skill. Right, so in the quarterfinals, me versus Muzu, and like me and Muzu have very similar playstyles, so that's going to be a sing match. I'm going to predict me winning there, but say if I might make like a few bad decisions, I can easily see Muzu taking this. Then we've got Gymnast versus Battlecats. I would predict Jim, 100%, unless Battlecats makes all the right decisions and Jim doesn't, then Battlecats could pull it off, but I'll have to go with Gymnast just because I wouldn't expect him to lose to anyone, really. Then in the semi-finals, we've got me versus Gymnast. This is the match which I was hoping to have in the finals, but we got put on the same side of the bracket. I'm really hoping this gets to be a close match, if it does happen. And honestly, I would really love to have the upset here, but gotta go with Gymnast just because he's had much more experience with other randomizers like Wind Waker, and also he's faster than me, so I wouldn't have my normal speed advantage, so I'll have to go with Gymnast. Although I've beaten Gymnast in the past, so I know it's definitely possible, but for the bracket I'll have to go with Gym, unfortunately. Okay, so the second side of the bracket, we've got Jasnix, Lepalog, CJ, Average Link, and Deer. That's still pretty stacked, actually. No one's going to just be able to go through to the finals. Everyone's going to have to work for the finals. So we've got Average Link versus Deer. I'd say Average Link. Alright, another stacked quarterfinal match, Lepalog versus CJ. I would expect this one to be fairly close, actually. And also the two rando devs out of the three that were in the tournament. Unfortunately, Pepper didn't make it out of this group stage, but these two did, and they'll face each other in the quarterfinals. So I would expect Leper to win this, because I think he's like a slightly faster runner. But CJ is better at routing, I think, than most people. So I wouldn't be surprised if CJ takes this, but I'll go with Leper for my predictions. Alright, then Jasnix versus your Average Link. I would expect Jasnix to win this, although again, Average Link can pull it off. None of these are really set in stone. I can really imagine anyone taking these, but for this I'll have to say Jasnix. So in the semi-finals, Jasnix versus Lepalog. Ooh, that's another really close race. Like, I can easily see both of them winning, but I'll have to say Leper. I just think he understands a lot more the game. He's basically the main dev, if there was a main dev. And I think Jasnix, whilst he did have a lot of really good seeds in the seeding race, I do think that if he makes a few bad decisions, I can kind of be quite costly for him. So, although I can absolutely see him winning, I'll go for Lepalog for my predictions. Okay, bronze match, me versus Jasnix. I'd say me because of the speed. But I mean, Jasnix can take it, although I might be defeated by the meme man. Fuck. Then in the finals, we have Gymnast versus Lepalog. And again, I'd say Jim. Just because, you know, Jim is like faster than everyone. He's probably a better router. He's had the most experience of everyone in terms of other randomizers. So I'm expecting Jim to win the tournament outright. But I mean, anything can happen. Again, with that me versus Gymnast match, it's not set in stone. It's definitely not a easy bracket for anyone, I think. Like, for example, me, I've got to get through Muzu, which is, you know, I think I could beat Muzu, but I'm still nervous about that. And then Jim this in the semifinals. At this point, I've kind of just given up on winning as a possibility. I'm pretty sure I'll just go out to Jim in the semifinals, so I'll probably just have fun with that match. And obviously try my best, but because I can still win, but I don't expect to make it much further than that if I make it that far in the first place. So, yeah.
Hello everybody! We've got the bracket round 1 for you today. It's your Average Link versus Deer.
Required dungeons today are Ancient Cistern and Fire Sanctuary.
Oh, and Bomb Bag.
Average Link takes a huge lead.
Oh, and a sword in the bottle check, so that's interesting. Wow, like Fire Sanctuary is just stacked with swords. I wonder how Average Link is going to feel about that, actually. Because going to Lene could just be a huge time waster for him. Yeah, and Deer being in go mode.
And Deer has done the upset. Finished first place with a time of 2:44.36. GG Deer.
We have the final match of the bracket round 1 for you today. It's Match Strats versus Battlecats 59.
Oh, Skyvy Sandship, okay. Oh, there's a bow as well, which is a required item.
I feel like this is going to be a sword hunt.
Yeah, neither runners have found a sword yet.
There's a sword!
So now we know where the swords are. That is huge, actually, yeah. Battlecats is in go mode, he can probably do Tensor Skip. GG. Battlecats moves on to the quarterfinals to face Gymnast 86, and Matt is unfortunately eliminated from the tournament. Right, hey guys, this is the quarterfinals match against Jasnix, and Deer is here. And Dungeons.
Oh man, double Elden Dungeons.
Nice, yeah. Ruby tablet on letter, okay.
Deer's lead is kind of fizzling away right now.
Bosky, okay.
Go mode for Deer. This is insane.
This race can come down to endgame, assuming Jasnix, you know, survives this. He does, but he doesn't get it. Ooh, okay. Good attack, and yeah, perfect cover from Jasnix, so that's pretty cool. GG to Jasnix. Deer is eliminated, but not without a fight.
Hey everyone, welcome to a quarterfinal match with CJS and Lepalog.
Okay, there's Ruby Tablet. So CJ can do required dungeons. Okay, well there's another sword. So Leper needs 2 more items till he's go mode, and CJ is 3 more items. So this is still a race. Okay, Leper getting Master Sword, so he is in go mode. And that's GG to Leper, finishing with a time of 2:30.31.
Hi, I welcome you to the quarterfinals Gymnast 86 versus Battle Cats 59.
Oh, Earth Temple Sandship. So he'll be the first runner to clear one of the 2 required dungeons. And there's the key card. This is not good for Battle Cats.
This is very bad for Battle Cats. Alright, now this is the deciding moment. If you want Battle Cats to win, everyone tell him to go right. He's going right.
He's going
That's
right.
It.
Hello everybody, we have the semifinals for you here today. It's Jaznix08 versus Lepilog.
He got hit! Oh no! Lepe! This is huge for Jazz. Oh my god! Lepe gets hit! Jaznix is done with him too! This isn't over yet. Jaznix getting hit already. Alright, Lepe is through Horde. Oh my! GG's to Lepe.
Okay, so it's 24th of March 2021. It is the day of my quarterfinals match against Muzu. You know, I'm feeling good, definitely, about this match. You know, I've been like really stressing out, as I've said in previous videos, but like, I mean, it's like, I'm feeling okay. I can beat Muzu. I'm just hoping that we don't get a horrendously bad seed with a lot of long checks and a lot of gambling, because that's what I really avoid, because I do long checks and gambling is like, doesn't play to my strong suit, which is speed. And so, yeah, I'm kind of hoping for a good seed, but I'm just hoping that whatever happens I can deal with, at least better than Muzu, because I mean, the thing with races is that it's not about being, like, amazing, it's about being better than your opponent, and I'm hoping that I can achieve that today. Like, one thing that's kind of made me, like, dull my nerves down a bit is definitely watching previous matches, so it's definitely kind of kept my nerves down, so. And as I said, I have all my cards, so I can't really do much practice, so I kind of have to, like, you know, be in a cool and not to just, you know, look fine, even though I'm right now I'm pissing myself. But anyway, match is gonna be fun, and yeah. The quarterfinals match against myself and Muzu happened on the 24th of March 2021, and similarly to the match with CJ, I knew that I was faster than Muzu, but since Muzu has been proving herself in recent matches, beating those like Gymnast and Exto in the showcase race, and making it this far in the tournament, I knew that I couldn't slack off, as one mistake could hand her the win. What was interesting was going into the race, we knew that we had a fairly similar playstyle, so we kinda assumed that our routing was going to be fairly similar, but in fact, the exact opposite would be the case.
Earth Temple Sandship. That's a combination.
The seed started off with a somewhat interesting combination of dungeons, having to complete Sandship, which is for some reason the most common dungeon so far, and the Earth Temple, arguably the hardest dungeon with many skips, and with it being locked by key pieces, it has the lowest chance of having useful items. The seed also started off with the Emerald Tablet, which was required to beat the seed, but we couldn't beat any of our dungeons with that, and would need the 2 other tablets. Thankfully, on my first Skyward trip, I collected a lot of items useful for completing said dungeons, including the Sea Chart, Claw Shots, and the Ruby Tablet.
So, now the question's gonna be, after the initial Skyward trip, are our runners deciding to go to Elden, or are they gonna be deciding to go to Farron?
After staying on Skyward for a bit, I decided to go ahead and do the Earth Temple and go to Elden, which is insanely risky given that I had basically no useful items for the dungeon and would have to do many glitches and skips.
Okay, KitKat is already looking into doing Earth Temple. I mean, you can beat Earth Temple without items, contrary to Ancient Cistern, which you cannot beat without items. I am not particularly a fan of this play either.
It was clear that at the time I just wanted to get one of my required dungeons out the way, but little did I know, it was at this point when things would start to go wrong.
Whew, that's scary, but I did it, Jesus. Oh, I forgot to check Sparrow, fuck, okay.
Going out of the Earth Temple, I was relieved that I didn't mess anything up, but I didn't find much in the dungeon, except for some earrings, so that's more time I could waste in the summit, I guess.
Generally, I much prefer Muzu's route over KitKat's so far. I mean, yes, there are a few chests you can get in Earth Temple, but usually Earth Temple is a pretty high sphere, meaning you're not expecting many progression items in there.
At the end of the massive Elden trip, I decided that I was going to play it safe after that insanely risky play, even going out of my way to do the Sparrow check, which requires going back to Skyloft and takes a few minutes. I then went back to Skyloft, got the mitts from Betro, and then hated myself.
Oh well, that ding mitts, fuck. Oh yeah, I need to remember Sparrowt. I need to remember Sparrowt. Please don't forget that.
I knew that had I got the myths earlier, it would have saved having to do a few skips that cost me some time, and also if anything was in the digging spots, then I would have essentially skipped them, or best case just delayed them, which wasn't good. Because I knew that Muzu wasn't experienced in shorter vanilla categories, I knew for a fact that she wouldn't have done what I did, so even though this was prophesized to be a sync match, I could tell at this point that it absolutely wasn't.
I do seriously want to go to Farron though, because like, there's a lot of things in Farron that's Sphere 0, and I'm pretty sure Muzu would have already been to Farron.
After a lengthy Skyloft trip, I found the Amber Tablet and just needed the bow and potentially the whip to beat all my dungeons. But I elected to go to Farron at this point because it had been open to me from the start, and I knew for a fact that Muzu would have already cleared it.
This is definitely not the type of seed I wanted, not at all. Like, I'm stressed now.
In Farron, I did end up finding the whip, so I was glad that I went there instead of the much more check-dense area of Lanayru. After this, I did go to Lanayru, and I just needed 2 sword upgrades and a bow, and given how massive the region was, I was going to find these items in no time, right? I ended up fully clearing the area, finding Bellows and doing my signature dip into Sandship and finding the Rattle, which meant that it might not have all been for nothing.
If you're really lucky, it is a bow. But if Rattle leads to bow, it's basically the same.
But at this point, I was starting to get nervous of how long it was taking me to find this item, and was really debating if that early dip into Earth Temple was worth it.
All I can do now is just play at my best and hope. And just really hope that items are where I need them to be. If they're in Elden, then I am fucked. I have a feeling music can just finish at any moment, especially if everything's in Elden.
I went back to Skyloft, just praying that something would be there, and sure enough, behind the Baby Rattle reward check, I found a sword. So I guess my signature dip into dungeons was paying off for once. But after what felt like forever, I finally found the bow in the bird's nest, and then I knew that I was still in the game.
Oh my god, I'm back in the race, baby, I'm back in the race! Oh my god, I can still win this, yes!
Even with this nice find, I still had to find a sword upgrade, but with me being able to beat all my dungeons, I decided to head into Sandship hoping for a final sword upgrade. I didn't find anything in Sandship, and in total desperation, I did the Levias check, which took a few minutes and didn't end up being useful at all.
Nice! You gotta love it. Escaping Levias is pretty much impossible.
From here, I went to Elden, checking all the checks I couldn't the first time around, and still no sword, but I did find the Hook Beetle, which unlocked only a handful of checks. From then, I went to Farron, still nothing. Then Skyloft, still nothing. I even did the Farron Silent Rail hoping to find a sword.
It's a 2 in 5 chance. What else could it be? Sword, please, game. This has been a really fucking weird seed. Can you just give me a sword and be done with it? That would be lovely. Fuck! Game, why must you torment me like this? I just wanted a fucking sword!
The sword hunt felt like it was taking forever, and I felt like I was leaving the door wide open for Muzu to take this race.
Okay, I'm becoming less and less confident by the second.
I then went to Lanayru to search in those chests locked behind the Hook Beetle in Elden, and then finally, I'd find my last sword and enter Go mode.
Thank you! Jesus Christ!
Alright, time for Go mode for KitKat.
With the knowledge that Muzu could have been anywhere, and just experiencing the longest sword hunt of my life, I really wasn't sure if I would win, so I tried to play as fast as possible, and thankfully, I ended up victorious with a time of 3 hours, 4 minutes, and 28 seconds, which was the slowest time I had in the tournament, minus the 4th seeding race.
Yes, dude, I win! G fucking G, that seed was what the actual fuck?
This race was one of the more stressful that I would experience, as I went for many risky plays early on, which almost cost me the race. As I predicted, Muzu ended up getting the Dingmits before going to Earth Temple, so she got the Hook Beetle way earlier than me, but unfortunately she didn't capitalize on it, so I found the sword first, despite it being open to Muzu for longer. Another aspect of the seed that helped in my favour was the sword being behind the Baby Rattle, which I ended up getting quite early thanks to my dip in Sandship. Had the Baby Rattle been in a slightly different location, or had I not gone back to Elden when I did, there could have been a big chance that this race could have ended up differently. So another win, putting me in the semi-finals, guaranteed top 4, but my next opponent would likely be someone who I definitely couldn't slack on, and judging by these matches, I would really need to step my game up to face against the final boss of the tournament, Gymnast 86. Okay, so just after the Muzu versus me match, and I just have one thing to say. Holy fuck, was that a weird seed? The general rundown was that I dipped to Earth Temple really early, which looking at the video is what Muzu didn't do. So then because of that, I got the Lanayru tablet, and so I was like, do I want to go to Elden or Lanayru? I chose Lanayru because it had twice as many checks in it. And so I went through Lanayru, and one of the things I did whilst I was in Lanayru is that I dipped for the one sandship check, which actually might have won me the game. And doing that, I've been like telling people like, hey, this is like a strat that I do, and everyone's like, oh, you're crazy. But it actually paid off this time, so yes. So yeah, it was a really close match actually. They're like only like 20 minutes apart, so anything different then I can easily imagine Muzu would have won that. Okay, so it's 10th of April 2021, and the semi-final is about to happen. It's going to be me against Gymnast, which I'm happy to see as a match, but also makes me terrified because Gymnast is like the best player in the world. And I'm literally up against the final boss. Like everyone I've been against, I've always been faster than them, so I've always had that speed advantage. But this time, I don't have that speed advantage. Gymnast is a faster vanilla runner. He has the 2nd place, and I have 3rd place, and our times are like about 2 minutes different or something. It's probably gonna be really close, actually. If Jim versus Exto shows anything, it's that like the slightest thing can ruin either my or Gymnast's day. Like falling off Skyloft could determine this race genuinely. You know, as I said in my prediction, I don't expect to win. I think there was a practice match I did against Jim. Well, I mean, it was more like I did a seed that he did about a few days ago, and I ended up losing by 8 minutes. I know why I lost, but I still lost by 8 minutes. And I'm kind of expecting a similar outcome to happen in the race, where I'll be close, but I'll lose. And that's really the outcome that I want. I just want it to be close. And if I win, great, I'll be amazing. That'll be amazing. But it's not looking good for me. It's yeah. You know, whatever happens, it's like, yeah. Hey guys, what's up? Oh, Jesus Christ, alright. Well, it's 5:44 in the morning. You can see there's like a little bit of daylight just kind of peeping out. It's the day that I face Gymnast. And I have been tossing and turning all night. Yeah, this is just, I just take these way too seriously. But it's like, I want to win though. It's like, that's the thing. It's like, I'll do this the same with like just any sports, is that I'll take it way too seriously. But I mean, again, it's like I want to win, so what are you gonna do? Yeah, and it's all fun. It's like I'm not like hurting myself over this, not like mentally or physically. I mean, physically hurting myself over this, that would be an accomplishment. But yeah, it's 5:45 PM right now. The race is at 7, so it's in like 10 hours. No, 14 hours. I can do maths. Yeah, 14 hours. And yeah, it's just gonna be, I just can't make mistakes. Just no mistakes. Yeah, I just hope I do a really good race. If I don't, then whatever. But yeah, we'll see, I guess.
Let's get this match going.
The semi-finals match versus Gymnast 86 took place on the 12th of April 2021. And as I've been saying many times throughout this documentary, Gymnast is an absolute beast of a runner, and someone who I look up to. And whilst at this point I'd lost every single encounter with him, with the exception being the showcase race, going into this race, I finally felt ready to face off against him. Let's go. Ooh, here we go. The seed started out fairly as you'd expect. Medium length dungeons, emerald tablet, spiral charge, and a few crystals. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Although I did find Din's power in the goddess statue, and it said I might need what it reveals, so I considered doing the trial early, but the Elden trial is the longest in the game, so I wanted to wait a bit to see how the seed would pan out. Instead of doing my usual 20-minute Skyloft 1 trip, I decided to head to Elden around the 10-minute mark. I knew that Gymnast was a fan of going to surface regions early, so here I was trying to metagame a bit. Like 10-minute surface, this is about normal, I think. I guess, with like the spiral charges and stuff, so not a slow start, I guess. In the Mogma Turf, I found the Ding Mitts, which unlocked the rest of Elden, and in the later stage of Elden, I found a few Skyloft bait items such as the Letter and the Rattle, as well as the bow and 2 sword upgrades.
So Elden is mostly done, basically, there's only very few things.
I also had a bit of an execution hiccup here, and I usually wouldn't bring it up, but I'm against Gymnast 86 here. Every second mattered, and at this level of play, that could have been the difference between winning and losing. What? Shit. Fuck! Okay, first major cop. That's fine. It's early game. I say to myself. That's fine. I imagine Jim will make cock-ups of his own. He is human after all. I think. With both Farron and Skyloft being about equal in check density, I decided to head back to Skyloft so I could advance the Petrus check a little bit more. The Petrus check is one of the longest in the game, where you have to sleep and talk to her quite a few times in order for her to give you her item. I didn't think it would have been a good idea to do this outright since it would have taken forever, so I only talked to her twice. I ended up finding the Scale, Beetle and the Bellows, all of which being required items for the seed. So then after Skyloft, I decided to head to Farron, where I was kindly greeted with a monster horn. Great. I went to Lake Floria early on, and there I decided to go into Ancient Cistern without the whip, and my reasoning being, because it was a required dungeon, I had to go there eventually.
And he seems to going for the one check in Ancient Cistern here. I mean, if it is whip, then it's nice, but I would have rather got the other checks first because they could have been a whip.
Alright, gamers, I'm probably gonna do my one check Ancient Cistern now. So this one like makes more sense than Sandship, to be honest.
I didn't end up finding the whip in the dungeon, unfortunately, but as I was there, I decided to look around for the boss key, where I made my second mistake, in which I voided out whilst doing Cistern Clip.
Ooh.
Dude. That's fine, this is why you save. Pretty sure save.
The execution time losses were starting to pile up.
Okay, that was like the second big blunder was voiding out at Cistern, so that kind of sucks, but whatever. We'll go with it, I guess.
With more clearing through Farron, I found the bomb bag, a final sword upgrade, hook beetle, and a bottle, but afterwards making more mistakes by missing Cube Walk and forced to do the Walk of Shame.
Ah, shit. Alright, third blunder.
Up on Skyloft, I found the harp on the Betrothed 30 reward check, and since Beatrice was advanced enough, I decided to see what she had for me, and turns out, it was the whip.
Hey guys, pause champ. Whip.
Whip.
I told you.
Okay, that's cool. Whoo!
Beatrice was unlocked from the start, so in the moment, I didn't know if Gymnast had obtained it before me, but I had it now, and I decided to clear the rest of Ancient Cistern.
For KitKat to be in go mode, he needs Amber Tablet. Otherwise, he can't reach Hell Knife.
At this point, all I was looking for was the Amber Tablet, and after doing a little more cleanup of Skyloft after Ancient Cistern, I thought more about the Elden Trial, and decided to go for it.
Jim is also going straight for it. No harp cancel for KitKat, that's gonna lose him some time.
Dude, I'm just messing up so much. If I win to gym, it'll be a miracle, genuinely. I've like made so many mistakes here.
Right now, KitKat is ahead. Ooh.
KitKat is ahead by maybe 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds-ish. I mean, maybe more now. What will it be?
Here we go.
Fuck! Guess I'm getting the pumpkin soup again.
I ended up finding the Ballad of the Goddess, which unlocked her Thunderhead.
I mean, Levice might not be required, guys. It seems like Gymnast is going for it. Gymnast is like, you know what? I'm not doing Levice.
I didn't find a whole lot in the Thunderhead, except for Pharaoh's Courage, which unlocked another trial. Since the hint said I might need it, I went there and found the Amber Tablet. I was in go mode.
Alright, go mode. Why? I just gotta book it to LMF right now.
But I did spend quite a lot of time in the Thunderhead, electing to check the Levice check, which ended up having nothing, and combine that with a few of the execution mistakes I made, I knew Gymnast had to be at least close behind, and in fact, I was correct. Gymnast found the Amber Tablet before me, and was already in Lanayru by the time I got the Amber Tablet, so going towards the Lanayru mining facility, I would have to play perfectly to stay in this race.
There's definitely always a chance to win. Gymnast right now is playing risky, and playing risky obviously has the downside of backfiring.
Wow, he's going for these break lights. He is not messing around. So it doesn't appear that Bosky's gonna be any chase for anyone. Pretty much on the way.
There goes KitKat's potential advantage. KitKat missing whip, sure. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much, fortunately, for KitKat here. Definitely would come down to execution then.
Nice Moldarak fight for Jim.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, my efforts would not end up being enough, because as I was fighting the imprisoned, Gymnast86 had finished in first place with a time of 2 hours, 20 minutes and 47 seconds.
Time.
GG.
GG.
Yep, there it is. Jim finished. Dude.
I had lost the race and was eliminated from the tournament.
Nice.
GG, KitKat.
GG.
It turns out that Gymnast didn't go for Levias, electing to prioritize other checks, including the Farron trial. I kinda knew that Jim wouldn't go for Levias, so I was thinking that if I went for it and he had the Amber Tablet, then I would easily win the race. But it turns out that I was too aggressive too soon, and all he had was crystals, which were not useful. With a tournament run like that, I couldn't have been mad. I finished only 9 minutes after Jim after all, and during the Elden trial, we were neck and neck. So whilst it was unfortunate that I was knocked out, I gave it my all, and I put up a good fight. Okay, so it's been a few days since me versus Jim, by the fact I've got a haircut, but whatever. So I've really kind of had time to like reflect on the match itself, and I don't really think I've really done anything differently. I think that, well, except I might have gone to like Din's trial maybe a bit earlier after Farron, but other than that, I would have really done nothing different. Like, I've watched the VOD a few times now, and I think the main reason why I lost was Levias. I do still stand by that play, like, because, you know, in a parallel universe, like, Levias could have been the Amber Tablet, and it was just, it came down to where the last tablet was, which is unfortunate because I was quite ahead for most of it, but, like, those sort of things just happen in Rando. Honestly, if I'd lose to anyone, it would be Gymnast, like, genuinely. You know, Gymnast is someone I've kind of, like, always kind of admired. I would have hated to lose to anyone else. But it's not over yet. I still have the bronze match, but before that, we have the finals. Gymnast versus Lepalog. The finals for the first ever Skyward Sword Randomizer tournament started on the 15th of April 2021 and was Gymnast versus Lepalog. The finals for this tournament was a best of 3, so in order to win the tournament outright, these players would have to win at least 2 games.
Today we have Gymnast and Lepe, the rando inventor himself, and today is going to be a great race.
For game 1, the required dungeons was Skyview and the Fire Sanctuary, with the Amber Tablet being the open pillar. On Skyloft 1, both of our runners would find some useful items such as good old Guardian Crystals, Songs, and the Ruby Tablet. Despite finding many of these items, Gymnast 86 goes straight to the Lanayru region. Gymnast is known for these types of early spherical plays, where he heavily emphasizes the checks that are accessible early to him, but this time he wouldn't get rewarded since he would only find a key piece. Meanwhile, as Gymnast is in Lanayru, Lepalog goes for the objectively safer and more check-dense play of heading to Eldin, where he would be rewarded in finding the claw shots, as well as some other Skyloft-based items.
Ooh, claw shots for Lepe.
Oh, wow, and that solidifies it. That Eldin first was definitely the play, as claw shots really opens up Lanayru. So Lepe definitely has a major lead, and Jim hasn't found anything yet. It's been a complete bust.
Lepalog additionally found the Goddess Harp in the sky before Eldin, but that didn't make a huge difference since Jim found the harp soon after his trip to Lanayru. After both runners are done with their respective regions, Gymnast goes to follow Lepalog in his footsteps by heading to Eldin, whereas Lepalog heads back to Skyloft to use some of his items he found in Eldin. Lepalog would then find the Scale, Slingshot, and Bomb Bag, which would open up even more for him in Lanayru. As Lepalog was finding this, Gymnast found the claw shots from Eldin, but then decided to go straight back to Lanayru again, potentially missing out on some Bomb Lock's checks there. Whilst Gymnast was in Lanayru with the claw shots, he would make his way to Lanayru Sandsea, which is arguably the least check dense area in the game, so most people tend to put it off, but not Gymnast, as he has no hesitation in going there. Jim would find a progressive beetle in his time in Sandsea, which could be required for the Fire Sanctuary depending on where the boss key lies.
So the first beetle doesn't really have too many uses. The hook beetle is the one that you're interested in getting.
As Jim clears up the Sandsea, Lepalog finally makes his way to Lanayru, but since he has bombs and claw shots on his first visit, he's going to clear the whole region way more effectively than Gymnast, and with his bomb locked checks, Lepalog would find the Fire Shield Earrings, an item that is definitely required for the Fire Sanctuary.
Oh, Fire Shield Earrings.
There's
That's
a requirement.
huge. Now all that's stopping us to access Fire Sanctuary is actually a bottle.
Lepalog also finds a song for Nehru's Wisdom, and as the trial is hinted to have something good, he goes for it, and ends up with the Dig Mitts, which is a relatively good item to find as far as what could have been on the trial.
That is great. That unlocks the entirety of Eldin. That allows Lepe to finish up Magma Turf, finish up the second half of Eldin, get all 5 digging spots. He can also grab the ball for Dude. He even has Fire Shield Earrings, so he can even dip into Volcano Summit if he wants.
Throughout this, Gymnast finally finds his bomb bag on Skyloft and re-enters Lanayru for the 3rd time to follow in Lepalog's footsteps. With getting some useful items in Lanayru, Lepelog doesn't end up clearing the Sand Sea, electing to head back to Skyloft in order to be more efficient. Lepelog would then find more useful items such as the second progressive beetle and a sword upgrade, and then with his mitts he would head to Eldin. Whilst Lepelog was on Skyloft, Gymnast did do the Silent Realm and got his digging mitts, and would head to Eldin soon after, so this put both runners relatively close to each other given past divergences. The two runners would then find the second mitts upgrade in the Magma Turf, and also the completed Song of the Hero, which is also hinted to have a useful item behind its trial. With the amount of checks dwindling, both runners head to the second Silent Realm, where they proceeded to find the Emerald Tablet.
And it is the Emerald Tablet!
Interesting.
Wow! That is huge. And of course, Lepe and Jim definitely both heading straight into Farron after that. We'll probably see them both do basically the exact same thing.
With the newly gained tablet, both runners enter Farron with Lepelog having a small lead over Jim, since his Lanayru clear from the start of the game was more efficient. The runners would find another sword upgrade before heading into their first required dungeon, which was the Skyview Temple.
One check could decide all of this now.
Was that a bottle?
It
is a bottle.
Indeed. So Jim is the first one to find a bottle.
Other than a fairly useful bottle and a not so useful curse medal, there was not a huge amount in Skyview, but Gymnast would have a lead exiting the dungeon. He would then travel to Lake Floria, where he would find his last sword and hit go mode, but Lepelog was soon behind him. Both runners would head to the Fire Sanctuary, where they would learn that the boss key was in the third small key chest, which was required Mogomit, Hook Beetle, and Gust Bellows. However, you can skip the Hook Beetle and Gust Bellow requirements by doing a bit wop from a certain part of the dungeon to get to the chest early. This strat is fairly uncommon, so it never tends to be at the forefront of runners' minds, but Gymnast recalled the strat and found the boss key, whilst Lepelog did not, which solidified Gymnast to win for game number 1.
Alright, GG's Jim.
GG Jim.
Game 2 would take place 3 days later, on the 18th of April 2021, and since Lepelog was down 1 game, he would now have to win 2 games in a row to win the tournament.
Hello everybody and welcome to Zelda Speedruns. We got the finals for you today. It's game 2 of Gymnast 86 versus Lepelog.
The required dungeons for the race was the Earth Temple and the Lanayru mining facility, and the open pillar was Farron. Both runners didn't get a whole lot whilst they were on Skyloft, so both would head to Farron fairly early on.
So yeah, Jim is heading right away into the Farron pillar, so
yeah,
it's possible that this will wind up paying off depending on what got placed here.
But other than a sword, not a whole lot was there either. They would return back to the sky and then find the Gust Bellows and the Amber Tablet, both required items for the seed.
An Amber Tablet on Haru's bottle, I think, so that's cool.
But that only gives us 1 item logically. We're going to need either a second beetle or a bomb bag or claw shots to advance logically.
Despite the item's importance, they still didn't open up many checks, so with only a few checks at Patrol being left in logic, Lepelog would be the first of the two to check it, and he would be the first to find the claw shots. Even though Lepelog found these items before Jim, he would stay on Skyloft prioritizing checks such as Petrus, which didn't end up being useful, but by the time he was done, Gymnast had got the claw shots and headed to Eldin, which made him ever so slightly ahead. Upon entering the Lanayru Desert with the claw shots, Gymnast, like in game 1, would head straight to the pirate stronghold in the Sand Sea, where he would be rewarded by finding the bomb bag, a hard required item for the Lanayru mining facility. Lepelog chose the more on-meta play here, choosing to clear the main desert before Sand Sea, where he would find the ruby tablet.
So, okay, each runner has found a different key item. This is actually suddenly really interesting. So Jim's going to be incentivized to go back to Farron now. However, Lepelog with the ruby tablet has the advantage of item density. Whereas Jim kind of he has checks opened up in Farron, he has checks opened up in Lanayru Desert, he has 1 check available in Skipper's Retreat now. So Jim's checks are kind of all over the place, whereas Lepelog's going to be pushed straight to Eldin.
Since the Eldin region is typically a better choice opposed to the Sand Sea, he would go there next. As Lepelog is in Eldin, Gymnast clears up the main desert, but he has the bomb bag, so he's able to do more checks, and does find other items such as the fire shield earrings and the whip. Not necessarily required in the seed, but useful nonetheless.
Yeah, so now Lepelog is getting punished for not going to Sand Sea, because Jim will have an additional check available to him when he goes to Eldin in Volcano Summit that Lepelog will not be able to access.
Gymnast would lead into finding these items by heading to Skipper's Retreat next, an area usually locked by the whip, where he wouldn't find much of value. After this, Jim would head into Eldin and then into his first required dungeon, the Earth Temple, whilst Lepelog was busy clearing the rest of Farron. Going through both Earth Temple and Farron, neither runner would end up finding anything, and as Gymnast was busy finishing up Earth Temple, Lepelog would finally head to the Sand Sea where his bomb bag was waiting for him. Once Lepelog obtained the bomb bag, he went straight into the Earth Temple, and Gymnast would head into the summit with his earrings, where he would find the Water Dragon scale, and then would elect to do more Skyloft based checks. So for now, the runners were just doing checks that the other had already done. Anyway, yeah, Lepelog going through a temple, Gymnast just doing some Skyloft cleanup, and yeah, it really just comes down to where the location of the Hook Beetle and Blast Sword is. As both of the runners' checks dwindled once again, Lepelog headed into the Skyloft trial.
If this is Hook Beetle, that could actually propel Lepelog into the lead.
A sword. Okay, so now we know where Gymnast's last sword is.
I mean, it's possible that Jim finds another one.
Gymnast found his second progressive beetle in Lake Floria, being one of the scale lock checks, which put him at more of an advantage for finding the bomb bag early. Gymnast at this point was only looking for a sword, and if he found it soon, he would be in a great position to win the tournament. With his newly acquired Hook Beetle, Gymnast would enter the Lanayru mining facility where he would find his sword and enter Go mode. Okay, Jim is in Go mode. We're gonna need a heroic effort from Leopard to get out of this.
I think Jim would have to make huge mistakes here in order for Lepe to catch back up.
At this point, Gymnast was way ahead of Lepelog, so unsurprisingly, he would end up winning the tournament with a time of 2 hours, 34 minutes, and 7 seconds, becoming the winner of the first ever Skyward Sword Randomizer tournament.
GG to Gymnast, the time of 2:34:07.
Gymnast's decision to dip into Sandsea and obtain the bomb bag early was what really caused him to win the match, and since it was also a huge contributor to his victory in Game 1, the community decided to dedicate his wing with the Pirate King emote. And even though it seemed like Lepelog got crushed in his 2 races, he still made it to the finals and would end the tournament in a very respectable 2nd place. Okay, it's 27th of April 2021. The finals happened a week ago. I know, I'm late. So the finals were actually really cool to watch. It was, again, Gymnast versus Lepelog. As much as I wanted to be in there, I was like really kind of glad to watch it in person and commentate one of them, which was, you know, amazing. Gymnast did just a complete sweep, 2 games to none. I think the main reason was because Sandsea was at least somewhat stacked both of the times, or I think. The reason why I haven't really made this video in a while immediately afterwards because I was still scheduling the bronze match. Because Jazzix is moving, we've had to like kind of delay scheduling it. But I think we've got Friday at 8 PM British time. So that's cool. And so yeah, I'm really excited for the bronze match. I've been also doing a lot more stuff than just Skyward Sword Rando. So if it does kind of go bad, it's like I'm not doing as much as I want to. But I mean, it's like I'm doing Randomizer for like 3 months at this point. It's like as much as I love this tournament, I do actually want to move on to other things so I don't just delay things even more. But yeah, honestly, I'm excited for the bronze match. And I'm hoping I'll be 3rd. I mean, Jazzy doesn't really care about what he gets. He said that vocally. So if I get beaten by him, my disappointment will be immeasurable and my day will be ruined. The bronze medal match between myself and Jazzix08 happened on the 30th of April 2021, and at the time, I was fairly confident in my ability to win the match against Jaznix, although looking at his previous races, it will be clear to see that he was starting to improve at a really fast rate, so whilst it was in my favour, it will be by no means an easy victory.
Hello everybody and welcome to Zelda Speedruns. At last, it is KitKat versus Jaznix08 to decide who gets 3rd place in our tournament.
The seed started out with an open Emerald Tablet, and had Ancient Cistern and Fire Sanctuary as the required dungeons. During Skyloft 1, I found some required items such as the earrings and the whip, and also some other useful items such as the bow. Going back to the goddess statue, I would also find the Ruby Tablet, so once I cleared the rest of the sky, I headed to Eldin.
So runners should be pretty much even in terms of checks.
As I was there, I would also find the Ding Mitts, which unlocked the second half of the region, and during that trip as a whole, I could continue to find more items such as the scale and the first beetle. After this, I decided to head back to Skyloft to clear up a lot of the remaining checks there, but I didn't end up finding a whole lot in value, so next I headed to Farron. Whilst I was in Farron, I decided to head into the Ancient Cistern, since I could clear it at full speed.
Jaznix is electing to not go to Cistern first, unlike KitKat, which I disagree aggressively with.
It was nice getting one of my required dungeons complete this early on, but I still didn't find a whole lot, except for some minor items such as the second beetle, Ballad of the Goddess, the Horn Colossus beetle, and the Rattle. These items would end up being useful, as in the Thunderhead, I would find the Amber Tablet, and through the Horn Colossus beetle, I would find the Gust Bellows.
So, KitKat is in logic, so to speak. Jaznix is out of logic with his knowledge, technically. Because he has no way of accessing Ancient Cistern without glitches.
Whilst these items were useful, they weren't inherently required, and they did open up some checks, but not many. And as the amount of checks continued to dwindle, I headed to Lanayru, where I still wouldn't find much. I did find crystals in Lanayru, however, and upon returning back to Skyloft, I had 40 crystals, and on the 40 crystal reward check in Batro, I would find the bomb bag, which opened up the seed dramatically.
It's the bomb bag! So our runners are basically neck and neck.
So now, with a ton of checks open in Lanayru, I would once again head there, where I would find a sword upgrade and a bottle, which would be useful for the Fire Sanctuary. After this trip, I headed back to Skyloft to set up the Owlin fetch quest, and whilst I was in the academy, I stumbled upon the core shot, which put the Fire Sanctuary in logic.
There they are, okay.
And I am gonna be assuming KitKat is gonna be making his way over to Elden now.
Yeah, we should see Kika go directly to Fire Sanctuary.
Even with the dungeon accessible to me, I still decided to clear up Skyloft just out of safety, but once I was done, I headed straight to the final dungeon. Once I was in the dungeon, I elected to clear the back half first, and at this point, I was just looking for 2 sword upgrades and the harp, and I would find the harp in the back half, but I was still missing the 2 swords. I would end up clearing the rest of the Fire Sanctuary, but end up empty-handed as far as swords go. I did beat gear him, and did end up finding a sword thanks to CJ and Floa, willing it into existence apparently.
Yep, we're still short 2 swords, Ricky. Unless there's a sword here or something.
This could change at any moment though. What? We got it! We got it!
Willed!
With 1 sword remaining from go mode, I decided to gamble the Elden Silent Realm since it was hinted to be something good earlier, but it would be nothing as I'd only find crystals. These last swords were really in annoying locations. I next went to Skyloft and the Thunderhead, found nothing. I would then return to Farron, finding nothing. I then went to the Lanayru Desert to do some Clawshot lock checks, where I would finally find the sword and hit go mode.
Just like Sentient, and the swords!
Oh my god.
I was a little nervous entering the final fight, given by how long that last sword took, but I would finish with a time of 2 hours, 41 minutes, and 32 seconds, cementing the 3rd place in the first ever Skyward Sword Randomizer tournament.
GG's to KitKat, placing 3rd in the first ever Skyward Sword Randomizer tournament.
With the exception of a few small differences in decision making, mine and Jazzix's routing were very similar until the end of the Fire Sanctuary. But once he entered the late game, he would find the Spiral Charge in the Great Tree, which I skipped, but it would send him on a wild goose chase, which ended him checking the Levias check, and with him finding nothing. Whilst it wasn't the victorious first place that I was hoping for at the start of the tournament, I was still very happy with the final placement, all things considered. And whilst there were some rocky moments in the tournament, especially in the seeding stage, I managed to pull myself together and end it amongst the top players in the world. Okay, so it's the 4th of May 2021. The Jazzix versus me match was a few days ago, and I did end up winning that, so therefore I took 3rd place in the tournament. It was actually quite close for a lot of it, but then it was like Jazzix kind of kept in Farron when I went to Lanayru, and the last sword was in Lanayru, so I ended up taking the win on that one. And so I'm definitely happy with how it turned out, although if the sword was in the Great Tree chest, that would probably be bad for me and I would have lost, which would really sucked, because Jazzix the entire time was just a fucking meme.
Beatrix was 5 gratitude. I have no words for this play from Jazzix. Jazzix is going for a trick called Early Zelda's Room, which soft locks him, which is why you saw him save before entering. He's gonna waste so much time doing this. I do like that at this point everyone is so confused about what Jazzix is doing. Did he just give up? Jazzix! Oh, he's gonna check Zelda.
Well, first up, we're gonna be seeing what Jazzix was so desperate for. Well, good thing he reset.
And yeah, it kind of feels weird that it's now over, because it's like, it's been going around since what, January? So, I don't really have any competitive events that I'm doing anymore, which is weird, but you know, it's cool. Just gotta keep playing for the next one. I think that was definitely unfortunate that it ended the way it did, in the fact that I came 3rd and had to beat Jim in the semi-finals because of like a really bad seeding race I had. But I'm just really glad that I had the opportunity to face Jim. You know, as I've said like many times, Gymnast is definitely someone who I look up to. You know, back in 2017 when he got like the sub 5 hours, I was kind of looking at him saying, damn, I really want to be that good someday. And I think that I'm definitely like at that stage where I can call myself a top runner. I mean, if I can make a close match with Jim, you know, I guess I'm good then. So it was an absolute honor being able to face him. Just in the tournament in general, it was just really amazing. Even though I did get quite a tough bracket, it was fun nonetheless, and it was what I wanted. And for years I've wanted Skyward Sword to have a competitive scene that wasn't just me winning everything. We did have it kind of at the Yerbal tournament, but that was definitely very close. But I mean, I did still win that. The game definitely now has a competitive scene with like many people now being able to take the wins in like future tournaments. That's really good. I'm definitely really excited to see how this progresses. Because remember, this is just the first tournament. Like as we speak, there's like leagues and stuff in the making. So that's going to be really cool. And I cannot wait to see how this progresses in the future.